Fogarty and Church with a nice setup for NASCAR on Prime. We're live in the Poconos. It's turned out to be a great day for racing. 160 laps, 400 miles. Cars are rolling off. Qualifying happened yesterday. Let's get to our starting grid presented by Dish. Front row, Denny Hamlin on the pole for the 5th time here. He's won 7 times at this place. Chris Buescher got his first career Cup victory here in 2016. Row 2, a couple of young drivers looking for their first win at NASCAR's top level. Carson Hocevar, John Hunter Nemechek, and they've had speed lately. Row 3, 2 drivers that have won here in the Xfinity Series. Cole Custer did it twice. He starts 5th alongside Chase Briscoe. Row 4, Ty Gibbs got his first Cup start here, 2022. He's alongside Toyota teammate Tyler Reddick, who's been 2nd in 2 of the last 3 races here. Christopher Bell in Row 5 has won 3 times this season. And Daniel Suarez is there, one of 8 drivers inside the top 10 looking for their first win of the season. Marty?
Adam, when I talked to Denny Hamlin this morning, he said if there's a Pocono race I'd probably rather not start on the pole for, this might be the one. His point in saying that was when it rains at Pocono, the track changes drastically. He said, when that happens, I normally like to base my race pace off someone else. But today, the entire field's pace is based off me. I have no idea what to expect in these first few laps.
We're going to continue the starting grid. In row 6, you'll find the 43 of Eric Jones, and alongside is the 22 Penske Ford, the 2012 Pocono winner, Joey Logano. 2 RFK drivers in row 7. It's Berlin, Connecticut's Ryan Preece, and Pocono winner from 2011, Brad Keselowski. In row 8 from Huntington Beach, California, the 38 of Zane Smith, and 35-year-old Austin Dillon in the RCR number 3. In row 9 from Las Vegas, the 4 of Noah Gragson, and 2022 Pocono winner Chase Elliott in the number 9 for Hendrick Motorsports. In row 10, Talladega winner this year, the number 2 of Austin Cindric, and 2-time Pocono winner Ryan Blaney. More from Marty with Joe Logano.
Junior, you can make the argument in the Cup Series garage. There is no better tandem than Paul Wolfe as a crew chief and Joey Logano as a driver when it comes to strategy. You can also argue this is Paul Wolfe's favorite part of the schedule with all these strategy races. When I talked to him about it this morning, he said the playbook today is, quote, wide open. There is no question at Pocono, the crew chiefs earn their money.
Back to the starting grid in row 11, Coca-Cola 600 winner Ross Chastain. Surprisingly, no top 10s here at Pocono. Looking for his first today. He'll start next to Justin Haley, driving for Spire. Back in row 12, last week's big winner, SVG from Auckland, New Zealand. He'll start next to Kyle Larson in that 5 car. Everybody will have his eye on the 5. Back in row 13, Alex Bowman, the 21 Pocono winner, and he'll start next to a 4-time Pocono winner looking for his first win of the year, Kyle Busch. Row 14, Ty Dillon. He'll stick next to Michael McDowell, coming off one of his best finishes of the year from Mexico City. And back in row 15, Riley Herbst making his first Cup Series start here at Pocono, next to Ricky Stenhouse Jr. For more on the 5, let's go down to Kim.
Well, Steve, Kyle Larson still looking for his first Pocono win, and in talking with the 5 team, they came with something a little different based on some things that worked at other tracks, just looking for more speed here. Well, when they unloaded in practice, it did not go quite as they hoped, and it left them searching a little. The team still trying to get Pocono dialed in, and this comes during a time when the team feels like they're in a little bit of a slump the last few races. However, they told me better to get through some of their gremlins now than have it happen later in the season, especially during the playoffs.
Thank you, Kim. Let's go to row 16. William Byron is there with Todd Gilliland. That 24 car, great in practice yesterday, but crashed in qualifying. Row 17, A.J. Allmendinger with Bubba Wallace. Bubba, great in practice, but had a starter issue. They didn't make a qualifying run. Behind them, Josh Berry, Cody Ware, 2 more drivers that didn't qualify yesterday because they had issues in practice. And rounding out the field today, starting 37th, Brennan Poole doing double duty this weekend. He finished 16th yesterday in the Xfinity race. Down to Trevor Bayne.
Yeah, Adam, you mentioned it about qualifying for this 23 team. Super fast in practice. We're looking forward to qualifying. When that starter broke and kept him from firing up the car, they tried to push it to get it going. When he put it in gear, it would just lock solid. One of the pieces of that starter went into the flywheel, would not allow it to spin, so that's why they couldn't push start the car. They do think they have a good shot here with the strategy being opened up. They're starting toward the back, so that kind of points them in the right direction. Charles Denike told me we got to shoot for 30 points or better every race. That's a 10th place finish or some stage points. So we'll see what they can do to make that happen today.
Yeah, they need to get back on that stage point train. And we talk about strategy. Let's go to our Subway track facts.
Well, the trickiest track we run, 160 laps make up the race, 400 miles, 30 laps, stage 1. 65 laps stage 2, 65 laps stage 3. That fuel window, 38 to 40. This brand new Goodyear tire has a little bit more pace, so I'm hearing some crew chiefs are a little concerned. We thought 40 was a given, but if you have that overall pace, you got to burn some fuel to go faster. That's how it works, so we'll just have to see how it works over the course of the day.
Today, the first of 10 races until we reach the NASCAR playoffs. Once again, tied at the cut line. 3 drivers separated by 22 points.
Yeah, and this is really important because Kyle Busch goes into last week's race at 0, right on top of that cut line. A new winner, a bad race, he's now minus 50. So Buescher, Bowman, Briscoe, even Bubba Wallace, nobody is safe. A lot of races to go, 9 left before the playoffs. Anything could happen.
Talk about the land of opportunity in this race. Let's hear from a crew chief, Travis Mack, ready on the radio, Steve.
Yeah, let's check in the crew chief for the 42, rolling off in the 4th position. Dial him up here real quick. Hey, Travis, it's Letarte and the guys in the Prime booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. Good to hear from you, man.
Man, another great effort out of this 42 car rolling off in the 2nd row. We heard strategy no less than 1,000 times today in the pre-race. So give me the inside scoop. You have track position, fuel, tires. How do you call this race? What's the priority to keep this so coveted track position?
Oh, man, good question, you know. Do you go for the stage points, or do you look at the end and go for the win? So it's going to be a tough call all day. You know, we'll see how this plays out here. We've got a really fast legacy car. Toyota, man, it's going to be a tough race. We'll see how it plays out for sure. You know, sometimes you just got to go with your gut, learn from you at this place, and had several wins here with you. So looking forward to getting another one.
Man, good luck. I know there's going to be some twists, some turns, and some tough decisions. I know you're up for it. It's been great watching this legacy car get faster every week. Good luck today.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one in the booth.
I saw Travis after they finished 6th last week in Mexico City. I mean, he was worn out because of all the twists and turns of a strategy race.
And you heard right there, so we heard it, right? This is a car that they have to decide what's their pathway to the playoffs. Is it points? Is it track position? That intersection is coming in about 25 laps. But first, Dale, first start of the race, we're going to see what, minimum 4, maybe 5 wide into turn 1.
We had a lot of weather, a lot of delays. You've got to get back up on this horse. You've got to get back fired up, ready to go. All about what you need to accomplish today. Hopefully you got your driver, your crew, the over-the-wall guys all fired up and ready to go.
No comp caution. We're going straight up here. The rain is gone. A 2-hour delay, but now the sun is out and a sellout crowd ready for 400 miles at Pocono. NASCAR on Prime ready to bring it to you. Let's put the green flag in the air and make it happen here in the Pocono Mountains.
Go.
Here we go, 3 wide already. Hocevar down to the inside. Buescher's going to try to stay on the outside of that 77. Behind him, 2-3 wide. Hocevar ducks into 3rd position behind Buescher.
I think Hocevar was the first one off track last Sunday in Mexico City. First out of line today, tight through the tunnel turn.
Bunch of Chastain to the inside of the 43 here. Eric Jones, but Eric's going to get that help down the front straightaway from the 60 of Priest. Nothing that the 1 can do. Try to fall in line, get a little help off the nose of the 3 of Austin Dillon.
That battle happening back around 15th.
Chase Elliott to the inside of his teammate. Bowman 3 wide. Dillon's going to clear both of those on the outside. Really tight behind them there. The 4 of Gragson, the 7, the 5 of Larson. Now we're 3 wide again.
Josh Berry thinking about making a peek in the 21.
Now
look at Van Gisbergen in that outside lane as Chase squeezes up through the middle in the 9, racing alongside his teammate.
That's actually Bowman now in the 48 to the inside of his teammate. SVG on the outside of that 3 wide is going to give up the spot, give up 2 spots there. Denny well clear in the lead comfortably over Briscoe, 3 wide. One of the front row motorsports cars to the inside here.
Brad Keselowski in the 6 won here. Really good in practice yesterday. Slides into line. He is now 11th. Ty Gibbs, 8th in the early going. 3 starts here, strong each and every time.
All these drivers really trying to figure out the balance of their cars. A little bit of weather, a little bit of rain. Hadn't been on the racetrack in quite some time, so you're going out there to really try to run a few corners, get the confidence that you have in the lateral grip. How hard can you push this car? Each corner going a little bit further till the car starts to slip either the front or the back.
On the left side, on the pylon, you see that green stopwatch next to Hocevar, currently the fastest lap. That was the last lap. The draft, in effect, 3rd car in line, much like Joey Logano right here, chasing down Chastain, right? So you kind of want to offset here in the corner, but then down this straightaway, tuck up in line, use that draft, see if you can make up that time lost in the corner.
Logano carrying our forward performance onboard camera and painting that line coming off of turn 3.
Great battle right here. The 41 and the 19. Briscoe, Custer swapping positions for 5th.
You know, Briscoe was on the set at the pre-race, and I think in that he analyzed it accurately on board with the Toyota Cam. He said they just have to execute better. Like the speed, he's liked the speed he's had in this car. He's had to learn how to drive this Joe Gibbs Toyota just a little bit more aggressively. But overall, it was an execution issue for the 19. Maybe today's the day.
Back up front, really impressed with the 17 of Buscher kind of hanging on to Denny Hamlin here, actually closing the gap a little bit off into the tunnel turn. Logitech camera here as we ride on board with Denny Hamlin, looking out back to the 17 RFK Ford of Chris Buescher. Buescher's going to go to the top of the racetrack, try to get a little clean air, and then build momentum on corner exit to hopefully drive back to the back bumper of Denny Hamlin down this long straightaway.
All right, you mentioned momentum, and I had mentioned the draft, and that's really the key, right? So in the corner, you want to be Denny Hamlin. Look at the speed difference. Denny Hamlin's actually slower max speed, 191 to 194 for Buescher. So check this out again. On the right side, Hamlin leading will have the advantage in the corner, fresh downforce, but the draft is in effect. So on this straightaway, probably 2 or 3 miles an hour more top speed out of the trailing car of Buescher. Look at that right there. He's going to be 180 to Denny's about 2 miles an hour, but he actually closed all the way up. I think at one point he started pushing the 11 away again.
He has to lift earlier. The 17 has to lift earlier for the corner. He's in dirty air, not going to have the grip he needs to be able to drive the car deeper into the corner than Denny, so he'll back off the throttle, back up the corner, offset such as he's doing right here to try to get some clean air underneath that car for the downforce, then get in the gas maybe sooner than Denny, start to accelerate down this straightaway. We'll see him getting closer and closer. Here he comes. Does he make a move? Denny's looking in the mirror. Do I need to defend? Look, Denny goes low to defend. Here comes the 17 to the inside.
There goes Chris Buescher looking for room to race. Down low, turn 1. Hamlin led the first 6 laps. He's led here at Pocono in 11 consecutive races, and he stays out front as they make their way down the Long Pond straightaway and head into that tunnel turn.
Buescher just didn't have the confidence to jump the outside there when Denny faded low. Denny's like, all right, man, if you want this, you're going to have to go the highway, the hard way around, if you will. Now, Buescher has to time all of that again. Take this entire lap to maybe put himself back in that position to try to make that pass down in turn 1. May take a few more laps for him to get back to the back bumper of this 11 car. And Denny's hoping that 17 will start to struggle, will start to fade. The balance will go away.
I'm impressed with Hamlin, who's leading. Buescher's been outstanding in 2nd. Hocevar hanging tight in 3rd. We're coming back in a moment. NASCAR on Prime Video is brought to you by AMR. Ten laps in on a Sunday afternoon in the Poconos. And you're watching the NASCAR Cup Series presented by Dish.
Yeah, Chris Buescher continuing to hound the 11 of Denny Hamlin. Denny's run some pretty nice corners, but Chris has found a way, really. I think turn 3 is the strength of this 17. He kind of gives a little up here in the tunnel, kind of one way through there, Dale, right? Can't get that fresh air. But down here in 3, he can run about a half a lane lower than the 11 and then get the run down the front stretch, Marty.
Steve, take you back a couple of weeks to Michigan, where Chris Buescher finished second and was very disappointed to finish second. I asked him, is the speed here at Pocono as good as it was at Michigan 2 weeks ago? He said it might even be a little bit better. But I find where they are in the point standings very compelling, Steve. They're pretty comfortably above the cut line when you look at where the 17 is. But when you talk to Chris Buescher, you talk to Scott Graves, they will tell you that doesn't matter. We're in must-win territory. So if you were Scott Graves, Steve, how would you play the game from where they sit in the point standings?
I think you have a car that I've seen so far that can win. I'm not worried about points. I believe we're going to have winners. I know it says plus 55, but if you get 1 or 2 winners from below, you do not want to go to Daytona to end the regular season needing anything. You want to be locked in. We see it every year. Someone's going to get in on points, but it doesn't make that race any better.
Byron on the move early from the back. They made the repairs. He's inside the top 20.
Yeah, there you see it on the bottom left, plus 20, plus 14. Those passes will get tougher as you get closer to the front of the field, but this car had incredible speed in practice, led all of the 5 and 10 lap averages. And let's look at the start of the race to see how aggressive he was. One of the first cars we saw jump out of line to make it 3 wide down the front straightaway, grabbing a couple of rows right here. Off into turn 1. That's a good handling race car right there. Drive right up in that pocket. There's dirty air all around, and the car still has the grip to be able to do that.
And just remember, this is a car that wrecked in qualifying, yet repaired. You know, I think you asked me, going to a backup? Absolutely. I didn't give it another thought, but for sure it's a backup. Big contact in front of the car. No such luck. The 24 decided that they could fix this car. It was unbelievable in practice, and so far, looks like Rudy Fugle and his 24 made the right decision because it has the same speed I saw yesterday in the practice charts.
It's been a great track when you look historically for Hendrick Motorsports. Pocono, 19 wins here, the most all time. But it's a Toyota and a Ford at the front right now. Hamlin hanging on, and Buescher just will not go away.
Yeah, Denny's doing a little bit of air block and a little bit of defense in turn 1 there. Kind of run into the middle of the corner and force the 17 to choose a lane. And have to drive through his wake a little bit. Down here, as Steve pointed out, you have to follow the driver through this particular corner. There is no second groove. And you see how that costs the 17 speed on exit. But down here in turn 3, we've seen them both take different lines. I think Buescher would love the top. He's not going to get it. Denny's going to take the top, so Buescher has to take the bottom. Denny will have the momentum off the top for a little bit before the draft starts to sort of flip the speeds a little bit down the front straightaway. Here it goes. But the 17 just not in position to really take advantage of that here.
195 for the trailing car. So you talk about the pass, and we've kind of shown you the onboards. If we head into the Prime Garage, right, we're going to show you exactly from an aero standpoint what these drivers are trying to do. So this is the point of the straightaway, right? Second car wants to get in line, reduce that drag. It does reduce the downforce, but your straight line speed is much better, so you pull up. Well, then, at the end of this super long straightaway, you get to a corner, so what do, Dale? Now you're searching for air. So that trailing car, this is what's happening in turn 3. He's going to move left, get out of the wake of that leading car. Downforce goes up, drag goes up. So offset in the corner, in line on the straightaways. That's the magic here at Pocono, but you got to get the timing right for it to work. That's what the 17's trying to do.
And what Denny wants to do is watch in the mirror what that 17's doing down here in turn 1. And if he can drive across the nose of that 17 and put him in that dirty air, he'll do that all day long. They've got to race to keep the lead, to keep the clean air. That is, I mean, Denny's looking at this. I know it's 16 laps into a 160-lap race, but he's looking at this as the race for the win. You always have to have the clean air in the track position to be able to have the advantage on strategy and so forth throughout the day. So he doesn't want to give this lead up, even though he knows the 17's faster. He knows the 17's faster because he's hanging on right here in this dirty air, able to stay within a couple car lengths.
See if he can get this run. And then turn one, I think Denny's doing an amazing job of kind of taking that air away. That aero blocking you're talking about. So let's see if he can pull it off down here. It's pretty fascinating how good these drivers have become at defensive driving.
Yeah, Denny's been probably notified by his spotter, hey man, I think you're better running the middle of 3 and 4. That also doesn't allow the 17 to put the momentum together to be able to tie that corner exit into this front straightaway. Denny's also moved up the racetrack down here, just trying to keep the momentum up in this car, doing a really, really good job and starting to spread out, make a little distance here between him and the 17.
So Dan, we went into the prime garage to talk about what the trailing car is trying to do. Well, let's talk about the leading car. Dale, what's this air block? What is the leader trying to do in this situation right here to protect?
Well, in the corner, he's trying to make it as dirty as possible. So when the car behind offsets a little bit, you see the downforce drag go up. Well, the lead car can just drive right across that nose. We'll see that happen a lot down in 1 and 2 and in 3 and 4. If a car goes into the corner lower than you, you can drive your car across the racetrack right in front of that car, take all of that downforce and drag away.
The advantage now for Hamlin, a half a second. Buscher, Hocevar, Reddick, Briscoe, your top 5. Experience the incredible story of NASCAR's Garage 56 journey to the 24-hour of Le Mans, a team fueled by innovation and driven to make history. American Thunder NASCAR to Le Mans. Watch now only on Prime. Hocevar was 3rd. He's now 4th. Here's what happened coming off turn 3.
Yeah, just a really, really huge slide. Contact with the right rear.
My goodness.
That is the
roof flap. The roof flap is up on this thing.
That is the best save of the year. I think it's got to be a contender.
I mean,
I know that the wall straightened him out, but seriously, man, this car is wrecked. Yep.
He's so sideways, the roof flap deploys.
Yep.
So the air pressure has changed so much, it is trying to keep the car on the ground. That is out of control.
and now we get our pit road report presented by Dish. Here's Trevor.
Yeah, guys, we saw Joey Logano sideways in that pre-race show, but Carson Hocevar might have one-upped him right there with that save. Said he's just really, really loose and on edge. Obviously, his team's telling him, hey, hang on to it. We only need to go a few more laps to be able to pit here to work on that thing for you.
I'm just impressed that he did that and he only gave up one position. Now, he lost like 4 seconds, right? Because he was a couple seconds back. He's now 7, but wow.
Riding on board with Briscoe with the Toyota cam. If you know, watching from this point of view through the last couple of laps, especially in turn 3, this 77 is evil. He's barely hanging on. He's in dirty air right there. You see how that's creating a problem for him. So Briscoe's going to create a run. Hocevar is going to block it as they go around the lap car pool in the 44. 19 in dirty air, slides up the track, going to lose a little speed there. But the 77 is uncomfortable in turn 3 specifically. And Chase Briscoe knows it. Chase Briscoe is going to continue to pressure him, continue to force this 77 to give up the spot.
Look at the 41, Cole Custer, coming off a great run last weekend. Great qualifying effort yesterday. Running top 10 right now as we focus on the 19 and 77. Off of turn 1, racing for 4th. Briscoe trying to get by for the spot.
Let's see how the 19 can make this pass happen. He's going to wait a little bit, try to get back here and side draft just at this right time to be able to slingshot himself forward into the tunnel. But Hocevar is going to battle him on the outside of the tunnel. Now the 19 can't throttle up. 77's got the momentum. Again, get next to him, slow him down, side draft, even it out into 3, down into 3, another race. The 19 can drive the car in there, slide up in front of him, take that air away. Now he's got the position. Here comes the 41. Now that the 77's in dirty air, Cole Custer with an opportunity to side draft down this front straightaway, going to pull himself even. He side drafts, gets away. Hocevar comes down to try to side draft him as well. Even themselves back up into turn 1.
And it worked. Like, I mean, look how much the momentum changed for that 77. I don't know if he can hold him off. I'm not sure if the car's driving good enough through the corner.
Yeah, the 41, oh, he can't really finish the throttle there. You see him get tight, have to get out of the gas. Gonna slow him down with a side draft again. Move away. Hocevar says, I'm coming down the track. I want to side draft you back. I want to battle you off into the tunnel, but he finally concedes. Says, all right, guys, I've had enough. I'm not comfortable. But here I come. I'm going to cross you over, actually. I'm going to cross you over.
On second thought, I'll try the inside lane.
Yeah.
Crossover move. Here's the 77 trying to grab the spot back. Good stuff. Hocevar and Custer.
We learned Hocevar does not concede. He's got other plans. He's going to continue to battle this 41. That's going to bring some of the cars behind them into this fray as well.
Yeah, this 54 right now is getting a monster tow. Brad Keselowski's flying. He's going to pull up here. Brad's thinking 3 for 1 right here. He's got to turn down to the 54. If he can roll the bottom, see right here, buildsubmarines.com on board with the 6. He's going to gas up. If he clears the 54, that's a big if. Can't do it. Now, no drafting help. 54 is going to pull back ahead with the tow from the 77 and the 41.
Brad's going to try to keep that side draft alive. He's going to do it.
Brad is rolling early, +6 in the first part of this race.
And he's in a really important position as we're coming around for lap 25. On board with Brad again. Will he make this pass? He will get shut off. What I was getting ready to say is, remember, you want to pit. It's advantageous to pit before the end of the stage. But unlike a road course where everyone can do it, you need to be within about 15 seconds of the leader. So you see on the left side, Nemechek in 10th is 14 seconds back. As we see Brad pull by, we'll see how many of these drivers decide to pit before the stage ends. They would come in a couple laps. Suarez on pit road already.
Suarez started this race inside the top 10. Good qualifying effort, and now making a scheduled green flag stop, Marty.
What Steve was talking about, Adam, was exactly the conversation between Matt Swiderski, the crew chief, and Daniel Suarez. They were right on the edge of being able to beat the leader out of pit road by making a pit stop here. So pitting probably a little bit earlier than they wanted to, but because of that time difference, they had to come now. So we'll see where Suarez cycles out. He said he just needs more overall grip for front Goodyear tires.
Well, I know they thought they were right on the number, and it is going to be close because here comes Denny Hamlin with a full head of speed down at turn 1. The 99, though, beats him onto the track. And just the question is the momentum. I think he's fine, right? I think he's going to stay a second in front of the 11. So great call by the 99 team pitting. Remember, they stayed on the racetrack a couple more laps. They're going to keep losing time because they're back there in traffic. just a bright call on top of that pit box to leave that pit opportunity for the 99 a couple laps earlier than they wanted, but mission accomplished, stayed on the lead lap. Now, next time around with 3 to go, it is going to be busy. Dale, you think this is a pit road entry that's pretty straightforward. Nice flat, you can kind of attack it.
Yeah, there's a really long braking zone, very straight entry. And so drivers get aggressive with that opportunity. We see a lot of drivers lock up tires coming on the pit road, spin out, wreck their cars, or get caught speeding in those first few segments. There's been some challenges this weekend with pit road speed. Throughout the weekend, the NASCAR's been working on the speed loops. We'll see if anybody gets popped today. Here comes some of the leaders.
Hocevar, Keselowski. Planned stops toward the end of stage 1, Trevor.
Yeah, we've got the 6 of Brad Keselowski coming down. One of the fastest cars in the field the last 10 laps or so. Was able to drive up and do it the hard way. It wasn't on a restart. He passed them all under green and was able to make that speed. You're going to see 4 tires and fuel in this car. Carson Hocevar as well was able to hang on to that 77 and maintain some track position to get these adjustments that are much needed for him.
Remember, you don't see a ton of cars, but that's because you can't. You'll lose a lap like the 99 almost did to Denny Hamlin. I will say, as we see these cars leave pit road, the leaders are going to be on the front stretch kind of at the top of your screen. The 99 did pull out in front of the 11. The problem he has right now is the 11 on old tires is still just faster. He has closed in now. So now Suarez has to drive these last 2 laps for everything it's worth to try to stay in front of the 11, and that's going to be difficult with that traffic off pit road.
Plus, Denny is also seeing traffic for the first time all day, so you got to hope that you're telling your driver, you're telling Suarez, look, man, just hold him back there. He's going to struggle in this dirty air. Give him all the confidence you can, whether you believe it or not. You got to tell this driver, hey, man, a couple more corners, good exits. Don't give up anything. Don't make mistakes trying to overdrive the entries. Give me good exits down these long straightaways.
And when you look at the strategy, it makes perfect sense to me. Denny Hamlin could win a stage and get a stage point. Buescher, Reddick, Briscoe, what does it mean when you haven't won a race? That you have to get those points. You got to get them while you can get them. So Buescher, Reddick, and Briscoe all stay on the racetrack because they're above the cut line, but have yet to have that guaranteed entry into the playoffs, trying to pad that point gap.
Buescher came into the day at plus 19. Briscoe nearly 40 points above the cut line coming in. They'll take all they can get here. Jones, Zane Smith, Logano, Chase Elliott, Byron, other drivers inside the top 10. How about William Byron? You start in the back after crashing yesterday in qualifying, but you drive through the field. Other drivers pit, you stay out. Going to get a couple of stage points here. On board with driver 24. Comes in with a regular season points lead. Final lap, stage 1. Denny Hamlin, so good at this racetrack, and he's going to lead them all in this first stint of the race. Back to the green and white checker. Despite all of his success, this is only the 2nd stage win for Denny here at Pocono. It's the 4th time he's won a stage in 2025. Buescher 2nd, Reddick, Briscoe, Jones complete the top 5.
Took us a little bit to get going with the weather, but those first 30 laps didn't take long at all. It went by in a blink.
Pit stops when we come back, and then the cycle prior to stage 2. A little delayed, but so far so good. NASCAR on Prime, live in the Poconos. We're glad you're along for the ride. NASCAR on Prime Video is brought to you by Dish. Catch the rest of the season with Dish. F1 the movie in theaters and IMAX June 27th, rated PG-13. And by Verizon Frontline. Stage 1 complete. Let's go to Kim Kuhn.
Yeah, we talk about compromise with the 3 corners here at Pocono. That's the case for Tyler Reddick. He said, I'm really loose in 3, but I'm worried if we make an adjustment, I'll get too tight in 1 and 2. So they're electing to leave it alone. They will take 2 cans of Sunoco fuel and put fresh tires on that Toyota. Trevor.
Yeah, Chase Briscoe was talking about how much the track is about to change after they put rubber down during that run. James Small told him to wait on him for some fuel. It's going to be quick, though, he says.
Chris Buescher told Scott Graves, Trevor, the fire-off speed was so good. It just got too free on throttle in turns 2 and turn 3. Denny Hamlin, flag-to-flag stage win for Hamlin. He gets the 1 playoff point. He said the car was neutral, but overall too free off turns 2 and 3. Of those who pitted, Chris Buescher wins the race off pit road.
Very interesting to see if it was just a fast stop or if they waited on fuel. You saw the 11 wait. Fuel games already being played on pit road.
This relief lap is sponsored by National Debt Relief. When debt hits hard, National Debt Relief gets you back on track. Cody Ware gets his lap back here at Pocono. And now we go down to Danielle and the fellas. What's up, Danielle?
Well, AA, we had our first caution-free stage here at Pocono in the next-gen era. A lot to keep our eye on. Denny Hamlin winning stage 1, but it's the young gun, our last rookie of the year in 2024, Hocevar, you have your eye on, Carl.
Yeah, when we heard the drivers talking about how their cars were balanced, Buescher was running Denny down. He said it got too loose, right? It's really treacherous here. Denny said balance was great, but a little too loose. We saw Carson Hocevar, I think, is the save of the year. Came off of turn 3, obviously too loose. I'm worried that maybe he damaged that car a little bit, but this is a save that you just don't make hardly ever. That is very, very difficult to do in any type of car, but these cars especially, Corey.
Man, in every lap, Carl, you're trying to push the limit of that grip through 3 to get the long run down the straightaway, and right here, he's just on the verge and trying to squeeze the gas pedal. loses right rear traction, but somehow straightens it out. Immaculate save out of the Carson Hocevar. But what noticed me, that big red dot popped out, and it has changed the dynamic of this race. A lot of wedge wrenches going to the back windows, tightening these cars up. I wonder what the direction's going to go.
And I think this is going to fall into the hands of the experienced drivers. You see Denny Hamlin, obviously in control of the race. William Byron coming up through the field. Brad Keselowski running well. Lots of changes are going to happen, and we will not go caution-free this entire race.
All right, you heard it from Carl Edwards. Denny Hamlin won Stage 1, will restart 8th in Stage 2. Sounds like AA. Brad Keselowski's going to inherit the lead here.
Yeah, another driver that's experienced success here at Pocono. Brad, a winner, 4-time runner-up. Also, one thing to pay off, speeding for Kyle Busch in that cycle of stops. He'll come from the back here.
Yeah, the 45 of Reddick also lost a couple spots on pit road. He's going to restart just outside the top 15. So the tire changer is going to wait on fuel, priority fuel. So he wait, and then gets a little tripped up. Actually steps on the gas man's foot. Gun changes. Then he goes to tighten, goes to loosen, comes back. Car's full. But it was just really interesting to me how you talk about like kind of the choreography. Normally it's all about speed for the tire changer, but he just waited, let the gas man get his business done first, because that's what everyone is waiting on pit road.
And you see the front of the field there, all those cars flipping the stage. The cars that have come to pit road will be in 8th and 9th position. Chris Buescher, Denny Hamlin. And now on these restarts, Carl talked about how they'll get more intense as this race goes. What you really want to depend on if you're in that front row is the push from the car in the second row. You can force that to happen if you're in that outside lane. The inside lane, though, that driver can take you 3 wide if he chooses to do so. So what does Cole Custer do in row 2? What do the cars behind him do? Do they jump out of line or do they stay committed?
This is when you make it happen on restarts. Some of the best anywhere on the circuit right here at Pocono. Front row, Keselowski and Gibbs, stage 2 underway. And they scream down into turn 1.
You see how well connected that outside line is. The inside line does not get a push, so they lose track position. They lose a couple car lengths. Easy for the 6th to clear.
Hamlin getting aggressive. Ian Buescher side by side exiting the corner. Keselowski is away.
Buescher stacking up that middle line, that white car right in the middle. Oh boy, 4 wide.
Yeah, 4 wide right here.
Figure it out. We're going to the tunnel turn. Zane Smith in that mix.
Oh, Zane up the racetrack, almost gets into the left rear of the 17. Everybody clear. That's what in that dirty air, you're in a pack of cars in that dirty air. Your car just slides across the racetrack. There's nothing Zane can do to keep that car down the racetrack.
Joey Logano, his experience, he gave up the tunnel on entry and said, this doesn't work if I push my way in there. And I think that's the only reason they didn't wreck. And he comes out, I think, the winner with a little forward momentum.
Live to fight another day. The balance of patience and aggression at Pocono. Hamlin up to 6th after the restart.
And that's important. Remember, they stayed out to win that stage. Danielle told us he was going to restart back because of that strategy, and now he's trying to get that track position back. On board with Christopher Bell inside Chase Elliott.
Bell making it happen into the tunnel turn. No problem. 20 sucks up, pulls to the inside, but here comes Chase. Rallying back and waiting in the wings, Chris Buescher. Lost some spots on the restart, 17 getting with it into the corner.
And I feel like that's a perfect example of 2025 NASCAR. 5 years ago, I don't think Buescher goes 3 wide. He pushes one of them. He's not sure which. But in today's world, you got to take, and take some more. He was thinking only about himself, which he needs to do. And now it unfortunately doesn't work out. He doesn't get either spot.
Of Eric Jones now looking at the inside of the 77 down here, turn 1. Car 43 bobbling just a little bit. You can hear Byron jumping out of the gas a little bit there on corner exit. Great view of this battle now. Jones side drafting a little bit, getting that run, going away from the 17. You're trusting this guy on the inside not to get loose, not to push up into your door.
Byron is thinking, you keep side drafting each other. Here I come.
That's what I was waiting for. Front straightaway, they're side by side, and the 24 is going to pounce. Instead, Eric Jones slides in line. Byron rides 12th after starting in the back.
Look at this top speed, 196 miles an hour. You're almost to the mechanical limitation of this gearing. It's not meant to go 200 miles an hour. Tire diameter, gear ratio, you're going to hit the rev limiter when you get up around 196, 197 miles an hour. You just kind of get the terminal velocity.
Bubba Wallace and his buddy Blaney swapping positions right there. Bubba's going to actually lose a couple spots there. Get out of the gas, and now he's got company with the number 3 car of Austin Dillon to the inside through the tunnel. So Bubba Wallace was passing Blaney, goes by Blaney, gets up into turn 1, misses the corner a little bit, caused him a little speed, and now he's lost a couple spots and battling side by side here to maintain.
Bubba did make a qualifying run yesterday. They had an issue with the starter, so he comes from the back after being fast in practice at a track where he's really performed in recent years. 57 above the cut line coming in, and some work to do. This is the Toyota onboard camera as you ride with the 23.
And the 3 of Austin Dillon decides, all right, I'm not going to make this pass, and I don't want to stay on the inside and lose more positions, as the draft will train by you on the outside, and he ducks into that spot to be able to maintain his track position. Busher to the inside now. It looks like Suarez off into the tunnel turn. The 20 of Christopher Bell shading a little high, trying to keep that grip. Marty.
Denny Hamlin has gained a few more spots since Adam mentioned him a moment ago. He is up to the 4th position. You know, Steve mentioned 2025 NASCAR. I think when fans hear the crew chiefs talking about fuel strategy, they think it's more of an end of the race thing. But in this day and age of NASCAR, it starts right from the start of the race. Here was a conversation between Hamlin and his crew chief, Chris Gale.
So I didn't see him nod, but I went when he said go. Yep, you were right. I was anticipating, I was trying not to lose to the 17, but the 17 did not wait on fuel. We were really close. We may just barely not got it fully full, but it's close.
So Steve, that time difference we were talking about on pit road was less than 2 seconds, but every second counts in today's NASCAR, to your point.
So basically, Denny Hamlin's in pit stall 1. So what they can do is get into their pit stall, change the tires, and literally just look up pit road and try to time it, is what the crew chief said. The 17 didn't wait on fuel, so there was no chance to beat him out. But basically, you just wait, get as much fuel as you can in, and even if it's not full, you just tell your driver to go to maintain your track position. That's the advantage of sitting on the poles at number 1 pit stall.
Brad Keselowski's got the fastest lap of the race. He's also led 9 laps today. That's more than he led combined this season coming into this afternoon. Caution out for the second time today. First time for an incident. Problem for Riley Herbst. We got the monster on board here. You see him pulling his car away. 26th when he had the problem. And AMR safety team made their way to the scene, assisting Riley.
Gonna take a look here, right on board with Riley off into turn 1. Downshift, blows the right front tire.
Hold
Big
brake,
trouble.
hold brake. We're in the wall hard here, guys. Staying up.
And you have to wonder, you know, we don't see many right front tire failures.
Yeah.
You have to wonder if there was something that created an issue. Was there contact with the wall, maybe contact with another car in the previous lap?
Yeah, just a couple laps before this, he was top 3 wide a couple times. I think he even got pushed up into the dust. So to your point, Dale, you know, maybe ran something over, had a slow leak. You run a couple more laps and then it goes down. I mean, we talk about just some turn 1 at Pocono. I've seen some of the biggest wrecks. So I know he's out of the race. It's unfortunate, but good situation. It could have been worse if it blew at a different time. Still a pretty decent hit, but we have seen some vicious wrecks down there in turn 1.
Yeah, that's probably the scariest entry to any corner in NASCAR because you're carrying so much speed, and we've seen some bad accidents, brake failures. I think about Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon, several in recent memory, and it's been happening at Pocono since this place has been around. So just a really tough corner, and you see that happen, you have to block it out. For all the other drivers, they have to, hey man, that's not going to be me today.
Pit road's going to stay closed, so we'll get a break in on Prime. Put your Prime membership into overdrive with movies that are right in your lane. Stream hits like Air, Moneyball, and Ford vs. Ferrari. Hard driving drama, it's on Prime. Celsius onboard camera. Riding with A.J. Allmendinger. We got some takers on the pit lane.
Yeah, not really a window, but we saw teams having to wait on fuel on the last pit stop. If you put a little fuel in here, Kim, you shouldn't have to wait on the next pit stop.
Yeah, a lot of crew chiefs telling their drivers, this doesn't necessarily put us on our window, but it gives us more flexibility later in the race. You see Alex Bowman just with those right sides and fuel.
Kim, if it were to go green from here with 50 laps to go in stage 2, Chris Buescher could not make it to the end of the stage. However, get a couple cautions, you never know. They might be able to make it to the end of the stage. Scott Gray makes the call to come down for 4 fresh Goodyear tires. They did not wait on fuel last time. They get it full and maybe can make it to the end with a little help from some cautions, Adam.
This is like stopping for a snack in a traffic jam. Didn't really cost you anything, so why not come down and get a little gas?
Throughout NASCAR on Prime, you are hearing an anthem. It's our anthem, Up Around the Bend, an Amazon Music original by John Fogerty and Eric Church. Scan the QR code on the bottom of your screen to add this song to your playlist. Available to stream only on Amazon Music. You're watching NASCAR Cup Series racing from Pocono, presented by Dish. Second caution of the day.
Wild scene on pit road, riding on board with AJ Allmendinger. He's coming into pit road and take a look at this. He's going to hit his tire carrier. Watch this tire.
Look where the tire goes. Man! Right in the upper torso, the head area of the rear tire changer for the 88. JP Keeley, he's a D1 lacrosse player, so he's taken some hits before. But this right here, that is a vicious hit. In his hand, it almost looks like, and he drops the gun. You see him, he grabs the gun and gets up and finishes the stop. You want to talk about tough and athletic? Trevor.
Yeah, Richie used to be my jackman here. He's a pit coach now at Trackhouse. Said JP's rib is just a little bit sore. He's trying to catch his breath a bit. Obviously, that caught him off guard there as the tire came flying into the stall.
I mean, that's just, whew, that is some scary situation. So good to see him finish the stop and being checked on right here. You know, we talk about that. I think we forget, right? So they run at 200 miles an hour. It's unbelievable. But pit road speed is 55. You can run 60. I don't know about you, Adam, but I don't really want to go stand on the side of the interstate at 60 miles an hour. And that's really what these guys are doing. And these drivers are looking at their dash, and they're looking up, and they're trying to get in their stall. And just, there's a lot of commotion. Thankfully, it happens right a lot of the time, but it's just a really scary reminder of just how quickly it can go wrong.
AJ back in here. Gonna fill up the fuel tank. Put a little more fuel in there, a little more assurance to drive a little further. And everybody's chose. We're lining up for one to go, coming to the tunnel turn up here.
Scan the QR code to save on gaming products by Logitech G, the official wheel and pedal of NASCAR. Riding here with Denny Hamlin. Won the opening stage, has led 32 laps today. Let's get a report on Chris Buescher, Marty.
He was the furthest car forward to come to pit road under that last caution, Adams. Here's what Scott Graves told his driver.
All right, I know that was a hit there, but it's going to help us later in the stage. It's going to help us do some things here later. We're just a couple laps short from making the stage. Simple. Understand?
So, Steve, if you're sitting in Scott Graves' seat, what is the nerves like right now? Knowing you have one of the best cars, but you're going to restart 22nd.
Well, this is the concern, right? This is you could call all the strategies you want. You need your driver to do the best he can in the restarts, but this is where the wheels can come off. No wrongdoing of your own. Like, Buescher has no choice. He's stuck at the top. He's going to fire off down into turn one and just hope all of these cars in front of him play nice.
Get the restart with 47 laps to go, stage 2. Keselowski, Hocevar out front.
We got Hocevar on the inside there with Denny Hamlin. Nobody's really connected right here. Here comes Denny to the back of the 77.
Red car poking out of line. Cole Custer.
Hocevar dives down into the corner. Can he stay to the inside of the 6? Not able to do it. Rad's going to clear side by side behind him. The teammates from Joe Gibbs. Gibbs, Hamlin, down the back straightaway. Denny wants to side draft a little bit here. Going to be able to do it. Here comes Byron with a run.
Larson out of line, racing his teammate. Chastain trying to make something happen as we hit the tunnel.
Chastain to the inside here is going to take this momentum. A good push from the 45 of Reddick off into turn 3. Oh, Denny Hamlin up the racetrack with his teammate. Byron goes through.
How about William Byron? 2 for 1. Gets the teammates from Joe Gibbs Racing. 24 up to 3rd in the running order.
And Nemechek's going to try to take advantage of this as well. He goes by the 54. Right to the back bumper of Denny Hamlin. See Briscoe looking out back there.
Just a reminder, that William Byron that just got the 3rd started last in a repaired primary after that accident in qualifying. Can't say enough about this 24 car so far.
They put themselves right in the game.
It's wild back here in the back. I mean, there's so many runs. Oh, look at this. Man, so many things happening. You got to stay on the offense. You just got to keep chopping away at it.
No wonder drivers' fuses all get so short.
Look at Chase Elliott.
Yeah.
Really good since the restart.
2 for 1 right there, 3 wide out of the tunnel turn. Going to go by the 42 of Nemechek and the 54 Gibbs.
You know, this reminds me a little bit Chase Elliott of how good he is here. He's won at this racetrack. But I go back to last year in this race, gets a speeding penalty late, and drives back through the field to finish inside the top 10. Maybe today is going to be it for number 9 as they're racing for position behind him. His teammates are there. 48 is Bowman, 5 is Larson. Reddick and Blaney also a part of that mix.
Reddick's been so good here. He'd love to be able to get through this track position, get his car up toward the front. He's going to push this 2 car. Barry pushing the 5 through. These guys are still battling. John Hunter Nemechek and Gibbs. Gibbs is probably getting pretty frustrated right now with this 42 car. Here comes Cole Custer. Going to save him and push him through.
Impressive days for Nemechek and Custer. Impressive weekends because they qualified great yesterday. They're paying it off in the race today. And both of them coming off top 10 finishes in Mexico City.
Nemechek and Custer side by side, slowing each other down. Here comes the 22 of Logano. Going to draft up on these guys into the corner. Going to try to find the clean air. Again, very patient, eases down in the corner. Knows it's dirty. Now he can throttle up. That 41's in the dirty air, so the 22 knows that he can get to the inside here. Look at this side draft. So tight. You have to be aggressive. You got to get right up on that quarter panel to make that work.
Look at Jones waiting in line in the 43.
Cole Custer's got a fast car, but he's just in a bad spot here, and everyone knows that they're taking advantage of it.
On board with Bell.
Oh, the 43 of Jones can't stay to the inside. Oh, you see Bell have to get out of the gas there off corner exit of 3. Not going to allow him to get much of a run on this 43 down the front straightaway. Jones in 10th, Bell in 11th. Up the racetrack, 20 for the clean air on the bottom here, trying to make that work. Mess back here. Bubba Wallace in the middle. Bubba squeezes up in front of the 17.
Bubba has not just been able to find track position today. I mean, he really, every time we look at him, we see where he is in the running order. It's somewhere right around 20th or on back.
And that's why when that car wouldn't start for qualifying, we were sitting on board with it, and you saw Bubba bang the steering wheel in frustration. He wasn't mad at his team. He was frustrated because he's done this enough to know this is what it was going to look like. Right? You have a good qual. Now, if you're William Byron, probably top 3 car in the field, he's driven up to 4th. But if you're just an okay, or even a good car, just not a great car, good car, I'm sure Bubba Wallace is, it's so hard to get your way out. I call it the black hole back here. You just can't get any traction.
Now we get another Dish Pit Road report. Let's go to Kim Kuhn.
Yeah, Alex Bowman running in the 19th position after Blake Harris brought him down during that lap 45 caution. They took right sides and fuel to get them in a better fuel window. But how about this luck? They took the tires off after they changed it, and as they were checking the tires, they realized, unbeknownst to them, they had a right side tire going down before that caution. They had no idea. Because they came down and changed right sides, they were able to avoid disaster.
23, and Bubba Wallace has an issue, a right side tire. Is this a theme for today?
I don't know. That's a good question. This one had some contact, which is first, right? Yeah. Tire or wall, we don't know. Window net already down. You can tell he's had, like, his frustration is peaked on this 23 car. Just mad, unplugged, literally. Radio unplugged already. Look at this.
It took some time, but we do get our 3rd caution of the day. Immediately you look at the points. He was plus 57 coming in, plus 20 now, 15th on our leaderboard. Said he didn't have much track position. He was 27th when he had his problem.
And let's see. On the outside of Chris Buescher down this straightaway. And
oh, flat.
Yeah.
Tire's flat.
Another right front tire. Similar to Herbst.
I was going to say team car.
Yep.
Oh, my God.
Oh, boy.
Oh,
hold it up there.
So
hold it up there.
The emotion in his voice, as he could tell that right front tire is blowing, and he has there's no control. The car is going to go straight. Whichever is in front of you is what you're going to hit, and you can hear the emotion in his voice. He knows this is going to be painful. That's what you face when you come to Pocono.
That is such a harder hit than it looks. Right? I mean, that is a hard hit right there. You see Bubba out of the car, walking by his teammate, the 35, also a right front. We didn't know if he had run over something, but you know, it could be two cut tires. You know, we just heard from Kim that the 48 had a cut right side as well. Maybe there's some debris out there these guys are getting into, but just, you know, not the trend, whatever the cause, not the trend you're looking for. If you're Reddick, you're the 3rd 2311 car still on the racetrack, and you have to hear on the radio that the other 2 have both cut right front tires. That doesn't make the scariness of Pocono get any better.
I just go to the highs and lows of racing at this level. And Bubba Wallace had 3 straight finishes outside the top 30. You get concerned. Last 3 weeks, inside the top dozen. Felt like they had regained the momentum. Today, and like Steve said, it kind of all began yesterday when they couldn't make a qualifying run. And now he's out of the race. Just about the midway point of our 2nd stage at Pocono. Brad Keselowski is your race leader. 39 laps to go, stage 2 at Pocono for NASCAR's Cup Series. Under caution for the 3rd time today. A problem for Bubba Wallace in the 23. And we just got a report. Pit road closed, and here's Brad Keselowski.
All right, so to your point, Adam, we were going to go to a replay of the 23 because pit road was closed. A huge mistake by the 6 of Brad Keselowski, pitting, pit road closed. Trevor, mistakes you just cannot make with track position.
That's exactly right, Steve. And they called it open to Brad, and he came down pit road. Right when he got on pit road, they called a trick play, hoist, whatever that is. And then as soon as he hit pit road and they realized it, they said 4 tires.
Oh, I mean, you're going to see some frustration. Look, confusion, frustration, head shaking, disappointment. Jeremy Bullins is beyond upset right here because all we talked about all day was strategy and qualify well, and then pit when it is closed is an instant tail of the field penalty for the 6 car. So he'll be the last car on the racetrack. It is going to be a long grind with 103 laps for the 6.
We got some more looks at the replay from the 45 car, Bubba Wallace off in the tunnel. We think we know exactly why this failure happened.
Yeah, so we take a little look here. Let me see if I can get my thing going. All right, right here. Yeah, there you go. Look at that right there. That shiny piece. This piece right here is what I'm looking at. I believe that's a part of a brake rotor. So, Dale, you and I talked about this. We weren't sure if the tire went down or if it was when he stepped on the brakes, but it looks to me that the brake rotor has come apart. A flat tire is not going to explode the rotor. Now, if this would have been after he hit the wall, you know, you could be on the brakes when you hit the wall. That would break a rotor. But, you know, the cause and the effect, the brake rotor looks first. And then the 3rd 2311 car had this conversation about brakes.
Yeah, the only good news is that our brake temps were a lot lower than theirs in practice. But we're just going to have to go to as much rear brake as you can stand. But I'll be honest, that's not going to keep it from happening. I don't know that. Their rotor temps were a lot higher. That's what I'm telling you. They were almost 400 degrees hot.
And so you can hear the worry in the driver's voice, the concern about his fate. Is he going to have that same situation of blowing a tire, having no brakes, and up into the fence he goes?
Now pit road is open. Here they are, Trevor.
Carson Hocevar coming down pit road from the lead now after Brad Keselowski pitted earlier. They're debating on the radio whether or not to fix that roof flap material we saw come up when he got loose earlier in the race. 24 cars right behind him. They're working on that as well, and the 6 team just now gave the report to Brad that they're going to get a penalty when they saw everybody else coming down pit road.
Trevor pitting with 37 to go in stage 2. These teams can make it to the end of the stage. Chase Elliott flexing some muscle here in stage 2, so the car is much better. Denny Hamlin said his car definitely tighter in traffic, especially turns 1 and 3.
Pit stops, 37 to go in the stage. 10 drivers stay out. 2 tires for Hamlin. As we talk, he's the first off pit road.
Big news here at Pocono Raceway. Race leader Brad Keselowski came to pit road while it was closed. Jeremy Bullins did not hear the pits were still closed. After they pitted, they thought they were just the only ones to take it to pit road. Then they realized they had a penalty. Listen into the conversation.
Not sure what happened there. There was a lot of people talking about coming.
Head down, run our race here. A good chance this comes right back to us.
Your reaction, Steve?
I mean, it's shocking to me. Look, it's easy to do, right? These radios are single communication. If two guys are on the radio at the same time, you can't really hear either at times. So, you know, it's a mistake that you can't afford to make, but I don't want to make it sound like it's hard to make it. It's an easy mistake to make. We've seen some of the best teams, best drivers make it, but this is a place it is going to be costly for the 6 car.
All Penske front row for the restart. Both Logano, Cindric stayed out. Their teammate Ryan Blaney caught speeding on that cycle of stops. Halfway home, just about there, stage 2. We're green again.
Ross Chastain, hard left-hand turn. He did this on the previous restart. Let's see if it works.
Bowman also to the inside of Cindric.
Bowman making it work in that inside lane. He drives through to second. Logano away with the lead.
It's a mess back there in the second half of the field on these restarts. Stenhouse to the inside here, 3 wide down into the tunnel.
Such an aggressive move for that bright yellow 47. Makes it work. Chase Briscoe looking to get some of the 19.
Every restart they make it through turn 1, I'm shocked. I'm surprised. I just can't believe they can get it figured out.
And I hold my breath for Denny Hamlin because he's had such a good race car. But when you make those pit stops and you put yourself in the middle of the mess, it's always so dangerous. You could get damaged or get collected.
Big moves back in the pack. Looks like Byron. Nemechek.
So Hamlin pull out a line, trying to get back in the top 10.
Well, there's a bunch of different groups on fuel loads. It's a little complicated. It's all going to figure itself out as the race goes on. But you want to be the front of your group, right? So when you look at guys who pitted, Hocevar is the first of that lap 58 group. He's kind of running his own race up there in 5th. Hamlin next back there in 10th. On the left-hand side, you see the last lap you pitted. Just put them in categories. If the number's the same, you want to be leading that group.
Riding on board with Byron here, down into turn 3. You can hear the hesitation on the throttle. Be able to get off this corner and make a good run down the straightaway.
Hamlin with a move down here.
The second half of the front straightaway. Going around Briscoe in the 19, his teammate, and the 7.
Drives the inside, that orange 7, Justin Haley. And there's a look back off turn 1.
Spire continue to impress. Hocevar 5th, Haley right here in 9th, right? 2 cars in the top 10.
Battle for the
And
lead.
look at this, Alex Bowman out of line to the tunnel turn. And he will take over the top spot, driving by Joey Logano.
Wow, that was a power move.
Big
driving
time.
away, man. Driving away.
Hey, with him leading, I mean, it makes me think about last week and that gutty performance he had with an outstanding run in Mexico City. Looking good again today. Let's get an update from Marty.
Adam, Joey Logano sitting in second. So Steve counted 2 strategies. Let's add a third. These guys last pitted on lap 32. Checked in with Paul Wolfe. He said, cannot even come close to making it to the end of the stage. They'll pit with about 8 or 10 laps to go. But Steve, Paul told me, he said, I was shocked. More teams did not stay on the racetrack. Just a handful did.
I think a lot of teams on pit road are committed to 4 stops. They have to be in certain windows of the race, and that lap 55 yellow was one of those windows. And I think these teams have just decided, when you look at history, 4 stops, runs inside the top 5 very, very consistently. So until somebody proves it wrong, I'm just going to do what they did last time.
You get in a rhythm in this race, and you think you kind of figured it out, and you can see the future. And then boom, a caution here, a caution there. Some drivers come, some stay out, and all of a sudden, it's a big mess that just grows and grows from there because everyone's playing off of their last move.
You just described my 300 starts as a crew chief. It all thought it was going to make sense, and it turned into a big mess because you really don't know. It is so, so complicated. And what these drivers are asked to do is more than just race. They're doing all these other things about managing brakes like Reddick or fuel.
Battle for third. Hocevar 77 behind Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in the 47. It always works out this way, doesn't it?
I'm looking away. I don't think I can watch.
Gano blocks a little bit. 47 had a huge run down that straightaway. Now he's in dirty air. The 77 with the momentum here. He's going to continue to push Stenhouse.
I think this is Hocevar. I want to believe this is Hocevar being patient, saying, you know what? I used up any goodwill last week.
Might not be in a real hurry to get around the 47 and have him on his back bumper.
77's been great today on speed. Good on tires when you compare him to the guy in front of him, but as we've talked about, recent history would suggest patience is the way to play here, Trevor.
Yeah, the key word on his radio, guys, is low risk. They keep reminding him not to take too many chances, but on that last restart, he was 19th taking the green, was able to get the 5th by the exit of turn 1. Guys, that seems a little risky to me.
Well, I agree. That is risky, and I think there's 2 levels of risk for the 77. There's 77 versus most of the field, and then 77 around the 47. And I think he can take a little bit more risk around others, but around that 47, I think he's used 2 mulligans. I just don't think he can afford a third.
Look at the speed that 77 has through the middle of the corner. So he drives up on the back bumper of Stenhouse. But on the straightaway, you're just going to push that lead car away. The draft has such a unique effect. So looking at the history between Carson Hocevar and Stenhouse, this is Nashville, where Carson gets in the back of the 47. At that point in the season, the 47 was in the playoffs. Then we go to Mexico. Carson misses a corner and runs over to 47, and Stenhouse has had enough.
And I think Ricky, to be honest, has every right to have those conversations with Carson. This isn't, you know, pick on like young drivers. This is not a new story. We've seen it for decades in the sport, and now Carson's kind of, you know, I think paying a little bit of the penalty here. He's going to have to run really smart around the 47. Now, what I will say, though, is of the different groups I mentioned, Carson's currently leading his. So that's even more reason not to get in a tangle.
Carson's so much quicker than the 47 of Stenhouse and the 22. Just trying to time the runs, trying to figure out a way to put himself in a position to get up alongside this 47 has been difficult. Right here's an opportunity. Stenhouse gets tight behind the 22. Can the 77 get that run off of the bottom of turn 1 down this straightaway? Not going to happen.
All this happening just over a second behind race leader Alex Bowman. Pagano the runner-up. Stenhouse third, then it's Hocevar. As Steve said, the best of those that came down pit road at lap 58.
Behind them, Briscoe has moved around Josh Berry for 6th.
Berry's been good today. I mean, we've seen him a lot up there. I mean,
gained a little track position, staying on the racetrack while a lot of cars have pitted. It's allowed him to get into the top 10. Then behind him, Denny Hamlin slowly getting his way back through the field. Riding on board with Brad Keselowski.
Up to 20th from that penalty. See that? Biggest mover since restart. Trevor just gave us a great update about Hocevar's magical turn 1. But Keselowski and Blaney both had issues, had to start near the back for different reasons. One speeding, one pit road closed, and here's Kes up 13 positions, Blaney up 12. They're running 20th and 21st on the racetrack.
I just go back to what Brad said on the radio. It's early, let the race come to us. That's exactly what everyone needs to hear. He's not just a driver, he's an owner. He's the boss man. They respect his approach, his attitude. He's bringing it and helping everybody around him. Look at this, a couple of Hendrick Motorsports cars in traffic. Kyle Larson and William Byron.
Wow, Chastain is in a tough spot right here. Byron's gonna drive to the inside, get that one car tight off the corner. They're down the front straightaway, side by side. No momentum coming from behind. You can kind of do what you want here if you're William Byron. Gonna wait a little bit, side draft right there at the last second. Try to drive in here and not be able to clear. The one of Chastain still on the outside. Now you're clear. You drive up the racetrack, take the position. He gets a little bit of a shove off the nose of that one car. Carries that momentum down the straightaway. Brad trying to take a few more spots here as he drives through the field. Ooh, man, that was tight right there.
Jumped around his teammate, Ryan Preece. Brad up to 19th. On board Blaney into the corner.
Took advantage of Priest a little on exit, too. He just gassed it up, kind of took the spot.
And Blaney buries it down into 3. He's going to clear Priest off the corner. Good turn in race car when you can drive in the corner that deep and still carry the bottom, wrap the bottom of the corner there. Party.
Junior, remember, this is part 2 of Ryan Blaney coming through the field. Started at the back of the field today because they had to change a starter before the race. Raced his way all the way up to the top 10, and then after that speeding penalty, he had to restart all the way back in the 35th position, now up to 20th. So, Junior, I'm curious, because Blaney has already done it today in these conditions, in this car, does that maybe help him a little bit on this run to have a little more knowledge of how to get through the field and make passes?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you find yourself in traffic and you find what makes your car work, where your car works really good, how to put runs together, what's the best place. You know, every car drives different, handles different on each end of the racetrack. Now you know, all right, my car's strong right through here, through turn 3. I'm going to make most of my passes right here.
Blaney gets another one up to 19th. Alex Bowman, the race leader, 24 to go stage 2. Logano, Stenhouse, Hocevar, Cindric, the top 5. Back at Pocono, let's do our FanDuel race update. Here are the numbers, Steve.
Denny Hamlin, favorite before, continues to be the favorite, plus 230, little under 2.5 times your money if you thought he was the guy to bet right now, as we see Briscoe on pit road. I think this 19 car thinks they're in a window, and we have the 71 limping around the racetrack, and they're wondering if that's going to bring out a yellow. The 71's on pit road now, so this tire didn't come off the 71. I really think that was the call for the 19, which I like. I love the gamble. Let's see what happens to the 71. No real contact here, and then it just goes down.
The right front explodes. You're wondering if another issue with the brakes. Trevor.
Yeah, Michael McDowell reported some brake shake for a couple laps there before it finally exploded. When the crew chief asked him, what was it? He said the rotor just exploded there into turn 1. We've seen that a lot, Steve, and you mentioned the faster speeds. That requires a little more brake on entry, right?
Exactly. So this Goodyear tire has a little bit more grip, a little bit more corner speed. So I think the overall faster speed you have to get on the brakes. And if we take a look at the wind down the front stretch, it is a tailwind. So when you're first of all, you're hauling the mail down the front stretch. I mean, faster than you ever would pushing into the wind, right? It's just easier with a tailwind. Everybody's gone out for a jog or been on a bicycle. They get that concept. Well, also, when you lift off the gas, that tailwind doesn't want it to slow down as much. So you're using more brake pressure at already one of the toughest corners there are. And these guys, it's a really awkward racetrack. We talked about it all weekend. Well, it's even awkward mechanically. Now we've seen multiple cars with brake issues, and we have yet to reach halfway.
19 laps to go, stage 2. Let's hear from Bubba Wallace. Kim caught up with him moments ago.
Bubba Wallace out of the care center after what looked like a tire issue, but then on closer inspection, maybe the root cause a brake rotor. What kind of feedback were you getting from the car?
None. I was gonna battle 17 into 2, and by the time I was ready to touch the pedal, it just went to the floor, and so brakes exploded. So I hate it. 2, 3 good races in a row, then here we go with the bad luck again. But hey, MJ told me there's no such thing as bad luck, so we create our own luck. It's apologize to the racing gods. This weekend sucked, aside from practice, but that pays nothing. Hate it for my guys. Hate it for McDonald's. We knew it was going to be a grind, and I was mentally prepared for that all day. As frustrating as it gets here to not be able to pass here at Pocono, we were just going to take our lumps and march our way through and set ourselves up for the end of the race, and brakes didn't want us hang around that long.
With it being a brake issue as the root cause, do you think your teammate Tyler Reddick should be concerned?
Race your own race. Don't worry about the things you can't control, pal.
And while they were talking there, you saw caution flag is out 4 times today. Debris on the front straightaway.
Yeah, the 71 had the brake failure on the right front down the front straightaway. Eventually,
I will say interesting location.
Yeah,
I would have thought it would have been on entry.
Of
but,
course, yeah.
You know, obviously that's where it happened. It was pretty clear, but
he's lucky. One of the lucky ones to have it fail in a situation where you can avoid any contact with the outside retaining wall. And apparently NASCAR has found some of that debris, and concerning because this front straightaway, these drivers use all of it, right? Breaking the draft, going 3, 4 wide, way down the racetrack. So probably in a situation where there was not much choice but to err on the side of safety.
And you saw the 21 and the 19 both had hit pit road under green. I just bring that up because, you know, we continue to talk about you got to keep coaching, right? All the way through, you got to keep crew chiefing. Well, you know, there's a lot going on out there, nearly impossible to follow everyone's strategy and everyone's story, but the 19 and the 21 said, hey, we might be able to just buy a free pit stop here. We could pit, the caution comes out, we could pull back up to the field, exactly what happened. So just, you know, great calls on top of the pit box. We'll see if it pays off. You just always try to take advantage everywhere you can.
You always want to have options, and options create opportunities in a race like this. Bowman's led 15 laps. Hamlin's led the most laps today, 32 out front, won the opening stage. 17 to go stage 2 as they come out of turn 3 this time.
It's going to be busy once again.
A couple of guys staying out, several coming down the pit lane. Here's Kim.
Including leader Alex Bowman. He was just shearing the right rear, needed a little bit more lateral stability. They will make a slight adjustment on that race car. As you can see the crew to the right side, fresh Goodyear tires, Sunoco fuel for Alex Bowman.
Chris Buescher, Joey Logano coming down pit road here, 17 to go in the stage. So obviously this will get everyone to the end of the stage here and also gets them in a window to maybe split the rest of the 82 laps in half. Buescher said the car really good and much more manageable in traffic. And also Joey Logano said his car just got better the longer they ran. Denny Hamlin on pit road as well said his car just a little bit too free. And look at that drag race, 3 wide off pit road, Adam.
Yeah, this place is entertaining. That pit lane is so wide. It's fun to watch them run off. We'll reset the running order when we return to Pocono. Ready for the restart at Pocono. We get our IHOP surprise move of the race.
Yeah, and a surprise, unfortunately, in a bad way for the 6 of Brad Keselowski leading the race, turns left. Unfortunately, pit road is closed. Red light on pit road, comes down by himself. Positive on the radio after, though, said, hey, there's a lot of racing to go. And sure enough, Brad Keselowski and the 6 team passed a bunch of cars on a little pit strategy. And look on board right here with this BuildSubmarines.com onboard camera. Just 2 cars in front of them. So the 6 doing everything they can to recover from that surprise move earlier.
This will be a fun restart to watch. 47 to Stenhouse, not a very quick race car, but he's able to get this track position. Hocevar knows the 47 is not very good. He wants to be able to get this track position, be able to get this lead to clean air on this restart.
Stenhouse leading laps for the first time this season as they stayed out here. 15 to go, stage 2. Stenhouse outside of Hocevar.
Oh man, Brad doesn't get to the back bumper of the 47. Advantage right now on the bottom of the racetrack with Hocevar. The push coming from Briscoe. They're going to clear pretty easily down into turn 1. At least the 77 is clear. Stenhouse going to try to stay on that back bumper. He can't do it.
Look at Briscoe. He pushed the 77 out there. 19 coming through, trying to take the top spot. Racing for the lead down the Long Pond straightaway. He cuts up in front of him. Briscoe in charge of the field.
Hocevar could have side drafted on the outside, decided not to. That allowed the 47 to jump to his outside. He's kind of surprised by that now. Hocevar ducks into 3rd. Byron back there into 5th around Keselowski.
I was saying the trend continues for the 77 to not put a big fight up on the 47.
He wanted so bad to drive by and be cleared and done and pull away, and now he's trapped behind him again. He's got to tiptoe around.
Look at what James Small did, right? That call to pit before the debris. Now he's leading the race.
Byron up to 4th around Barry right there. Keselowski to the inside of the 21 Barry. Behind them, Chase Elliott, the 17 of Briscoe. Great battle right here. Everybody trying to find clean air, trying to not be the person that's stuck in the dirty air and can't use the throttle.
I'm going to tell you, there's a lot going on with strategies, but I will say Byron and Elliott have worked their way to the front of their groups. While the 17 and the 11, Dale, we talked about it, they keep migrating back just a couple positions. Buscher recovered up to 8th, but Denny's still back at 12th.
Level of frustration got to be high, too. Look at Hamlin working that outside lane. 3 wide off the corner. Wow.
Oh, he almost got squeezed in the wall by the 5. I don't think Larson knew that Denny was out there on the 3 wide. So Denny had to get out of the gas. To kind of see that again if we can. I don't know if there was contact with the wall off of turn 3, but Denny probably not very happy. So Denny's out here. I don't think Larson knows it. Larson's going to come across the track clearing the 3, but here's Denny Hamlin. Denny just gets out of the gas, maybe a little contact. Yep, you see the right front fender. He's like, oh, I'm there.
It's not the first time those two have danced together at Pocono.
Oh, issues with the 1 car. Right there, he loses a ton of momentum. Big crash behind.
Christopher Bell involved, Shane Van Gisbergen, Ty Dillon, Kyle Busch. Caution number 5, and it comes out with just over 10 laps remaining, stage 2.
It's been a tough several months for this 20 car. They came out of the gate starting the season off looking like championship favorites. They've lost a little bit of that mojo, and it continues. And Ty Dillon, who's had a great run at the road course at Mexico City last week.
Spent a lot of time in the top 10.
Sure did. And, you know, he's actually really been able to improve with this colleague team this year. He's kind of gutted it out to try to get these opportunities and making the most of it this year. And the 888 able to get around the racetrack on the pit road. Let's take a look at how this happened. Kyle Busch in the door of the 38 just gets loose right there, and everybody trying to avoid a little contact with the right rear on the number 8. Riding on board with Christopher Bell through this corner. Kyle's going to be right in front of this. Car come around. Christopher Bell locks it down, trying not to hit this inside wall.
Got right back there?
Going to do a good job there. It's what happens happens as this race gets closer and closer to the finish line. Everybody stops giving as much, they start taking more. Kyle Busch knows he wants to take that position. He's going to force that pass. He probably doesn't do that early in the race.
Kyle involved in a crash early last week and a spin today as well. Laps to go, stage 2. You're watching Cup Series racing on Prime, presented by Dish. Here's Trevor Bayne.
Carson Hocevar coming down after a big debate with his team on whether or not to stay out and try to wait on getting this fuel in. They know it won't take too much fuel this time, so they are not going to wait on that. Once they get 4 tires on, they'll take off, Marty.
Austin Dillon gives up 14th, Trevor, and Richard Boswell, as crew chief, told him, hey, this strategy is worth a gamble at least, and splitting this in half, 75 to go, they can make it to the end, but there's a whole host of teams that stayed out, Adam, so they'll be behind all those cars when they restart.
The give and take of having some fuel and some track position. We'll follow up on Tyler Reddick when we return to the Poconos. Make sure you check out Prime's exclusive in-race feature, Key Moments, during today's broadcast by clicking down on your remote. It's the easiest way to catch up on race highlights and flag changes as they happen.
Brad doing a nice job of cooling this race car. You see 107 degrees right here. That's actually, we've seen a 130, 140.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
I think the average is around 120 something. That's very comfortable.
I've never rode in one at 107, so I'm not going to say it, but the guy to my left has.
I'm going to offer no analysis here.
I know, there's no good. Dale can say it, but I can't. I won't be able to walk in the garage if I tell him that.
It's not awesome, but it's not too tough. Brad's been in tougher situations many times.
Interesting lineup here. Front row, Briscoe, Stenhouse. Byron going to line up right behind the 19 in row 2. 8 to go, second stage, as we return to the green flag at Pocono.
Bowman ducking out 3 wide there on the inside, several rows back. Stenhouse possibly clearing. Here comes Briscoe on the throttle. Good momentum, but they're side by side. It's a drag race off of turn 1 down the straightaway.
Stenhouse, great shove in that outside lane from Josh Berry. Can he make it pay off? Side by side for the lead as they head to the tunnel turn. 19 inside is Briscoe, outside is Stenhouse. And they're stacked up side by side behind them.
Josh Berry getting a challenge by Byron back there.
Aaron Jones a part of that group. Chase Elliott back there and Brad Keselowski.
It's like if you have the inside getting into the tunnel, got a real good shot. Oh, the car's into the wall off of, look at everybody.
They just follow the leader.
They're pushing so hard at this point in the race, and that dirty air, they're just coming off that turn, that wall will sneak right up on you.
I thought Berry and Stenhouse were going to get together going into turn 1.
Stenhouse going to drive across the nose of the 21. Berry to the inside. We're 3 wide. Byron on the inside. Who do you side draft now? And if you're Keselowski, who do you help? He's going with the Ford. It's not going to be beneficial to him. He can't get in there, right? He can't go 3 wide into the tunnel, but he's going to clear the 21. Oh, and that's going to cost him. You can look back at this and go, man, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Now I'm losing spots. Lost a lot of spots right there, about 5 or 6 spots to that 3 wide.
Hamlin, one of those drivers taking advantage. The 11 car back up to 7th in the running order.
Man, Stenhouse, he's just so frustrating for these guys.
We know who Brad's following here. All the way to the bottom, looking for that 17. Chris Buescher, his teammate, the car he owns.
It's just not a good deal for him because look at the ground he loses following that 17 into the corner. I mean, tens of car lengths that he loses, but it does clear the 17. Byron is finally clear of Stenhouse as well as Chase Elliott. Stenhouse back to 5th. Now the 17 of Buescher trying to go take that spot away from the 47. He's got a little bit of a run here down into turn 3.
And blue car that's popped out of line, that's the 77 of Hocevar off from pit road. Up 9 spots since the restart. So just proving once again, great speed in that 77. This was shocking.
Yeah, this is just everybody pushing as hard as they can. Chase, a little bit of contact, no big deal. The 1, a little contact. 22 contact, 48-16.
You see Hocevar? I mean, he's the one that always lets it hang out, and he stayed just off the wall as he squeezed it up off of turn 3.
Yeah, he said, I hit that thing early.
5 in the wall right there now.
Again.
Josh Berry, give him some track position, making it work. 2nd behind Briscoe, and the 19 not driving away. On board Hamlin.
Josh run the fastest lap of the race right there. This track gets faster and faster as we get later in the afternoon.
Well, why do we talk so much about fuel? That fastest lap for Josh Berry was 10 laps on his tires. So those Goodyear tires just hold on for grip.
4 to go on the stage. Here's Here's 's 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 's
Yeah, guys, we saw the follow the leader off the corner where it gets really flat. You lose all visibility if you can't see around the car in front of you. That's why Briscoe chose the bottom on that last restart. They worked together with Byron and said, I'm just going to go on him. When he gets to me and pushes me, I'm going to take off, knowing that Byron really couldn't see the restart zone that well.
Dale, you talked about that. We were out there in the pace car about how the restart zone, there are a couple marks in the fence, but it's really hard to see on the ground or on the wall.
Yeah, when you're behind all those cars, if you're in the, the 4th, 5th, 6th row or on back, sometimes you can't even see those cones on the fence. You kind of just look in front of you a couple rows and watch the C-post or the roof of the car in front of you move. When they move, you get ready. Here comes the 6th to pit road, going to flip the stage.
Absolutely. Planned pit stop for the 6th, Trevor.
And Brad Keselowski coming down. They've recovered well from that penalty earlier. Thankfully, pit road's open this time for these guys. They're going to put 4 tires on fuel here, flipping the stage, as you mentioned. Also, Eric Jones hitting pit road. He was inside the top 10. Another good run for this Legacy Motor Club Toyota.
Legacy's been great this weekend. We talked about John Hunter Nemechek early and their performance in qualifying. Eric Jones spent a lot of time up in the top 10 or 12, 42 in, making a stop as well.
Yeah, Brad's been very vocal where they're at the points, way back in the 30s, that it's a must win. That's the path to the playoffs, so no surprise he wasn't concerned about points. Wow, big closing speed for that 21 right there.
2 to go on the stage this time around. We'll close pit road. Briscoe leading. And in line to have a really good points day. Coming nearly 40 points above the cut line. 4th in that opening stage. Got him 7 stage points. And, he would show in right now as the race leader. But across the board, regardless of how it plays out, you want to take advantage when you have that opportunity. 19 getting it done this afternoon. And here's Blaney, a penalty car earlier, going for 8th. Racing Stenhouse for the position.
Blaney, and then we have Larson behind him, and don't look now, but Hocevar, what a drive by this young man, 22-year-old from the back, up inside the top 15. I just talked about how the tires held on for overall pace. I wonder if the new tires do help you pass, though. Even though they don't go maybe way faster, maybe you can just run lower in the corner, Dale, or give the driver more options. That or this 77 is just a standout race car, combination of both maybe, but he's up 12 already.
I think it absolutely gives you an advantage in dirty air. Oh, look at that 5 car of Larson. I think the 47 might have gotten into the fence off the wall, or off the corner, I'm sorry. I think in traffic, when restarts back in the pack, you can be more aggressive, right? And you can take advantage of people who are on older tires, and that's how he's able to gobble up spots early on restarts. Logano to the inside of the 47 now. Stenhouse getting further and further back in traffic. Now we're 3 wide. This 47 car gets harder and harder to drive as you lose more and more track position.
Everybody take a deep breath. Hocevar just drove around Stenhouse. No harm, no foul, and I'm sure he's taking a deep breath as well. Talk about Logano coming by. The same for the 48 of Bowman. Final lap, stage 2. Here he is, Chase Briscoe, having a good day. Qualified good yesterday and paying it off in the race. He's the winner in our 2nd stage. Barry is 2nd. Elliott, Byron, Busher complete the top 5. For Briscoe, it's his 1st stage victory since 2022. We talk so much about the importance of finishing races. They've been qualifying well, maybe not getting the payoff. Could this afternoon be the day? 2 stages down at Pocono, and pit road will be busy when we come back. NASCAR on Prime Video is brought to you by AMR. 2 stages down in the Poconos. Going to break. I said when we return, pit road could be a busy place. Maybe not the case here. How do you see this playing out, Steve? And we got a handful of them coming down for sure.
Yeah, all the leaders can make it to their final pit window from here. The question is, do you want more fuel on board that could shorten that final pit stop, Trevor?
Yeah, Steve, that's exactly the reason the 24 is hitting pit road now. They feel like this might put them in the window to be able to take 2 tires and gas later on. The only issue on that 24 is the steering rack right now. He feels some issues, Kim.
As you see the 47 on the bottom of your screen, that's Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Last stopped on lap 47. They strung it together to get to the end of the stage, hoping for stage points. Did not net out. They finished that stage in 13th. Ricky said it just was not turning, Marty.
Kim, Daniel Suarez has been hanging in the top 15 today. Been struggling with the vibration, especially when he has to turn the car to the right. But Steve, to your point, Matt Swiderski told Suarez this will make our next stop shorter. That's why we're pitting now.
So shorter, but the question is, it's going to be 2-3-ish seconds shorter. If that's under yellow, it could be a lot. If it's under green, do these guys get close enough to the front to take advantage of those 3 seconds? You know, 63 to go. We'll just have to see where the cautions fall.
The games are being played as we get ready for the final stage. Here's Danielle, Carl, and Cole.
Yeah, Chase Briscoe's first stage win with Joe Gibbs Racing. Interesting to see, guys. He only came in 39 points above the cut. He was one of those on the bubble who has yet to win this season, already scored 17 stage points. So a great day so far for Chase Briscoe.
Yeah, a great day for Chase Briscoe, but Letarte just described, you know, really what's happening here is they're setting up for that last pit stop. So the guys that have to spend more time putting fuel in, man, they just got to hope for things to fall their way. It's a strategy game right now. Fortunately, we've got 2 great crew chiefs up there in the booth to describe it to us.
Absolutely. With Dale Jr. and Steve Letarte laying it out for all of us. It's been hard for me to follow as well because you don't really know who is set up the best for that least amount of time on pit road for the last stop. What's impressive to me, though, is Hocevar's ability to drive back through the field. I think they're in a pretty good fuel spot. The 77, man, is strong today, but I would love to see Chase Briscoe try to figure out how to get it.
Yeah, you read my mind about the restart. Hocevar passed something like 13 or 14 cars in a lap. Yeah. So restart takes care of strategy in a number of ways.
We had 4 cautions at stage 2 here at Pocono. That's the most ever in the next gen era, or ties the record, Adam. So we'll see what the final stage brings us. No shortage of action happening this afternoon.
No question, a lot still to come here. Thank you, Danielle. And now time for our Napa know-how moment.
Well, I keep talking about fuel load, right? And I call it the fuel tax because you can kick it down the road just like your taxes, keep it firm. But at some point, you're going to pay Uncle Sam. Well, some point, you're going to pay the fuel tax, which means you have to get fuel in the car. Did you do it now, or will you have to have a longer final stop and do it then?
And if the restarts get more and more crazier toward the end of the race, the best opportunity to get that track position that you need as a driver is to be aggressive when they happen. So, make as much, hay as you can when the restarts happen down into turn 1. And then also, we've seen a lot of brake issues. Who's managing those temperatures? Who's keeping those issues from being a problem for them today? You know that a lot of the drivers are definitely aware of some of the brake issues some of these teams are having.
We'll update on this 45 at 23.11 really quick. 35.23, rotors break, flat tires out of the race. The 45 inspects theirs. They go to the garage. They make repairs, make some brake changes. They must have felt that they were having the same sort of situation. They lose 2 laps. I only say that because they're the only car laps down. A quick yellow, he'll get a free pass. Another quick yellow, he'll back in the lead lap. Dale, you and I talked about this is very Formula One-esque. We don't see a lot of, I don't always use the word perfect, but running race cars get pulled off the racetrack to make a mechanical repair. But these long yellows, really a great plan. If this 45 finishes and gets back in the lead lap, heads up to this 45 team. Kim?
Yeah, and you mentioned they saw something they didn't like about the brakes. That came at that caution under lap 78. They looked at it, didn't like what they saw, but I did confirm for the team the rotors were not cracked, the ones that they took off. So they just saw something that indicated it was going the direction that his teammate Bubba Wallace had, but confirmation of no cracks on the rotors.
There's just a lot of adjustments, guys, with brake cooling, and also you can do some stuff internally to the rotor by limiting how much air goes through the vanes. No telling what the 2311 had, but they obviously know what the other 2 cars had and decided to make this change.
It's unprecedented for them to come to pit road or to the garage actually and make some adjustments to that car, but we watch the choose here. Briscoe taking the top of the racetrack, it appears, with the 21 buried to the inside. In that second row, Buescher and Chase Elliott will be key figures on this restart. Buescher in the outside line is sort of forced to follow this 19, push the 19. He cannot move left or right. But the 9 car of Chase Elliott can decide if he wants to go 3 wide or stay committed to that 21 of Barry. Trevor.
Yeah, Chase Briscoe last time, guys, took the inside road thinking he could get a good push from the 24, but he almost gave the lead up to the 47, who had 25 more laps on his tires. This time, with Barry being on similar laps, he felt like the outside was his best chance to defend. He's hoping for a good push from that second row, like you guys mentioned.
Yeah, when you pick that outside line, you kind of box in the car behind you. He has no choice. If he can get connected to that rear bumper, you're going to be in good shape heading off down into turn 1. It's much more difficult, I think, for the inside line to get organized, get connected, stay together, and stay committed. It's so tempting for the following car to pull out and go around the lead car and take everybody 3 wide.
Yeah, I think that's fascinating on what we're going to see at the front of the field. Well, further back in the field, what do these cars need? Well, right here, this row, Austin Dillon, Brad Keselowski, they stopped right before the stage. So that fuel tax I mentioned, they have about 15 laps more fuel on board. Why that matters is the final pit stop will be shorter, and further back on board with William Byron pitted at the stage, so he has the most fuel load. He's all the way back in 23rd. For this strategy to pay off for any of those cars, this restart has to work. They have to go forward. They have to get close enough to have that short pit stop pay dividends.
Want to pay off. Christopher Bell gets the free pass on this, our 6th caution of the afternoon.
Yeah, he's got a little damage to the splitter on this 20 car, so it'll be tough for him to make up a lot of spots for the rest of the day, but here we go.
Final stage at Pocono, 60 to go. Outside lane, Briscoe, Barry to his left.
Good organization and connection by both lines. That outside line is doing a little bit better. You see they got 3 cars together. Denny Hamlin, the 3rd car, makes the difference.
Briscoe dives out front. Buescher coming in the outside lane, trying to get to Barry. Chase Elliott is there, so is Denny Hamlin in the 11. Hamlin and Buescher starting to reestablish that track position. Started on the front row today, so good early.
I was wondering when we would see them back to the front of the field. They were controlling this race from the very start. They've finally been able to make that strategy work. Now back in the top 3.
Yep, Hamlin up to 3rd. Elliott trying to get 4th, and he does. Look at Hocevar outside of Logano. Aggression not a problem here.
We can talk a lot about what the poor 77 driver has done for mistakes, but what cannot be denied is his raw talent to find speed and speed in traffic. Very impressive out of that 77.
He'll go anywhere on the racetrack to do it. Top of 3 is an opportunity. A lot of grip up there in that 2nd, 3rd groove. Down the back straightaway here. Bowman trying to find a way around this 22. Kind of forced to push him as Logano throws the block.
A lot of give and take for Bowman today. 13th right now.
Hocevar still on the outside of this 22 up out of the tunnel.
Just in front of them, Ryan Preece in the top 10 having a good day. Won a stage last week in Mexico City, did driver 60.
Briscoe up front, being chased down by the 17 of Buescher. Buescher would love to get this pass made. He doesn't want to get caught up in the dirty air here, but then behind the 19 and allow Denny Hamlin to be able to get up there and challenge him for position. I would say that Buescher's sitting here thinking, look, this race is between me and the 11. Keep that 11 behind you. Take this spot from the 19 as soon as you can.
Ryan Blaney out of line, picking up a spot. Recovering from a speeding penalty. 12 car back in the top 5. Won this race last year. And here comes Larson in the 5.
Yeah, Barry had a terrible tunnel turn right there. No speed off the corner. He's going to try to stay out here around this 5. They're both up the racetrack. Here comes Cindric to the inside.
Cindric said, thank you very much. 2 for 1. The deuce comes through and gets it.
Larson tried a slide job right there. Barry was going to stay on his outside. Marty.
Junior, just to remind everyone at home, this is twice now for Ryan Blaney through the field in the 30s into the top 5. And I think teams are going to think about maybe pitting as soon as the window comes open to make it to the end of the race. Remember last year, Jonathan Hassler was willing to gamble on that last caution of the race. Hassler left pit road 4 laps short of fuel, banking on caution. He got those. Blaney won here at Pocono last year.
Rarely can you have track position and be comfortable about your situation. The entire pit road is just so aggressive with their pit calls, which matches the aggression on the racetrack. I mean, the whole pit, it's just take. Pit road, restarts, traffic, everywhere.
Oh, Barry trying to squeeze in front of Preece right there. Barely enough room.
Not sure he heard all clear on the radio, but he made it work.
Yeah, Barry's lost a ton of spots here in the last lap and a half. Trying to make that come to an end. Now he's jumping to the outside of Chastain, can't make it work. And still side by side, the 77-0 in Logano. Here comes Keselowski, 3 wide.
Yeah, Keselowski had been on the other side of the momentum. Now he takes advantage, goes around Logano and Hocevar, another Ford that's marching through the field and passing a lot of cars today. Driver 6, Brad Keselowski.
Leading the way with the most fuel. Brad K said it when they made that mishap. They came down a closed pit road. Let's just see if the race comes to us. It is slowly coming their direction. Can he stay in touch with the leaders?
You know, when Brad won here in 2011, he was coming off a really bad practice crash and had a busted ankle. So he knows all about dealing with adversity and having success here at Pocono. And coming back today after that miscue when they came down pit road and it was closed. Meanwhile, top of your screen, battle for the lead. Briscoe is got it, but Buescher is right in his hip pocket.
Every year, Chris Buescher just shows up in this summer stretch, I want to say. And it's not even the same style racetrack. I remember with Michigan last year, it was Watkins Glen. Like, he just, you know, Buescher in this 17 car continue to impress with their variety of speed. You know, we've seen it short tracks, big tracks, road courses.
He got that first career win here in 16. It was the fog out race when they played strategy and it all worked out for him. He wins it today. It's just going to be because they've got an outstanding race car. Qualified on the front row. They've lost track position because of all the various strategies, but there is no doubt about it. One of the best cars here today is that 17. And then back behind him, check out this.
Yeah, the 54 almost wrecks off the nose of the 38. And then that cost the 24 Byron a lot of positions right there through the tunnel.
Inside.
Yeah, this just kills what the 24 Rudy Fugle was trying to do.
Check. Top of 3.
That was happening outside the top 25. High level of frustration when you can't get where you need to go and you reach the final stage. Just over 50 to go, Trevor.
Yeah, guys, to start this race, the radio conversations were quite different than we normally hear. As soon as the caution would come out, you'd hear drivers just asking their crew chief, what are we going to do here, and not giving many balance updates. Now, with about 10 laps to go, you're starting to hear a lot of feedback from drivers on that balance. The picture's getting much more clear as to what the strategy is going to be, Steve. So does that tunnel vision start to fade off, and you start worrying about the speed of your race car now?
Absolutely, and I would have encouraged my driver. I know they're curious about the strategy, but that's part of your job as a crew chief, to ask the right questions. Hey, this is what we're doing, but what does our car need? Because I'm not sure we're going to get all the right calls, but if we do, let's at least have it drive the best possible when we're out front. These battles up front are just fascinating to me. This 17 now a lane lower in turn 3. He's going to have a little bit of momentum, but can he get the power down? And now here comes the draft. That 17 is just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger off this rear bumper. Here he comes right at the end of the straightaway. It really starts to take hold.
Briscoe running the middle of the racetrack, taking away probably the optimum line for the 17.
We've talked a lot about fuel usage You know, we have the burn bar, we show miles per gallon. The reason I'm not really pointing that out is because this is not as much how much they're using as how much they have on board. I think these guys right here, they're not as concerned about saving gas as they are trying to control this race and try to take the lead if you're Buescher.
Briscoe in charge at Pocono. Back at Pocono, now we get today's Credit One Bank ones to watch. Dale, who you got?
I'm going to pick Ryan Blaney. You know, last several laps on the racetrack, one of the top 2 cars. Came from a speeding penalty that happened earlier in the race, able to drive himself into the top 5. 2-time winner here, including this race last year.
I'm going to take that driver we see right up the hood of Ryan Blaney. That's the 9 of Chase Elliott. I think what was lost with SVG's dominating performance last week was Chase Elliott driving into the podium from outside the top 10 in that final run. This 9 has speed again. He has pulled it off here at Pocono. Maybe today's the day, hanging around in the 4th spot.
Brad Keselowski trying to end a winless streak of 39 races, put himself in the playoffs. He had that miscue, lap 58, coming down pit road when it was closed. He stayed positive on the radio, coached up his group. He said it will come to us, and it has. They're on the plus side of it. When you look at fuel mileage, he's running 9th right now and thinking about career win number 2 here in the Poconos.
47 to go. We expect the fuel window to be around 40, maybe 41, depending on pace. We've heard Marty mention a few times the gamble last year, people pitted before they can make it. Why would you do that? Because if the caution comes out, anybody who still has to pit, you would cycle in front of. I think we're still outside that window at 47 to go, but I don't know, 43, 44, somebody may gamble.
We talk about the 17 car being faster than the 19 and him being stuck behind the 19 in dirty air. That doesn't mean that Briscoe's really slow. He ran the 2nd fastest lap the last time by. So the 19 is a good race car. I think the 17 may be the best car in the field. Just really struggling to be able to put the runs together.
So this is going to sound crazy, but there is a little bit of the crew chief in me that says, hey, Buescher, if you push him down the straightaway and you get offset in the corner and push him down the straightaway, we'll run faster together and just try to gap the cars behind us, because they know that Brad and a couple guys back here are going to have shorter pit stops. I'm sure he would take the lead if he could, but it's not too painful if you guys are trying to get that gap back to Hamlin. So here's your ones to watch. Blaney going right by my guy Chase.
Yeah, what do you know?
Wins the race on top of the pit box. Nostradamus now. He's got it. Man, I love it. I love it.
Dale was first in the draft, right?
Oh,
so,
man.
I mean, you get to go first.
None of y'all were going to take Blaney.
I have to defend him. I wasn't. I didn't have him on my list.
You know, I look at Briscoe up there. He changes organizations. This has not been a good track for him. You look at recent years, last 5 starts here, he had exactly 1 lap turned inside the top 5. Today, he's led the most laps, 35 out front for driver 19, trying to control this thing and win a race, put himself in the playoffs. And if he delivered today, he would join a long line of success for Joe Gibbs Racing at this place. I mean, just look at the last 13 races. Going back to, I think it's 2017, the 7 wins, the pole positions, all the top 5s, laps led, and how good they've been here today. Very impressive, Marty.
Adam, we know these final stops of the day, very critical final stops of the day, are coming up here at Pocono. 45 to go. The drivers know that as well. Just a moment ago, Junior, Denny Hamlin radioed to Chris Gale, and he said, hey, give me a 5-lap heads up when we're coming to pit road. So to that point, how difficult is the pit road entry under green here at Pocono?
Well, it's inviting. It's not that it's difficult. It's actually easy because you can get turned and you have a very long braking zone, straight braking. You can get aggressive. That's the problem with the entry to pit road at Pocono, is drivers can really go after some speed there and try to challenge and close some gaps by driving deep into that braking zone and getting to the pit road. So you'll slide tires. You'll either speed in the first couple of segments because you actually went too fast, or we've actually seen people wreck coming on the pit road trying to get there too quickly.
You know, Junior, we're celebrating the success of Joe Gibbs Racing, and rightfully so. Been so good here today, leading laps, winning stages, got the pole and all of that. But let's go to RFK Racing. We've told the story of Brad Keselowski. We know how good Chris Buescher has been. Ryan Preece has now entered the top 10. So all 3 of their Fords in the top 10. I go back a couple of weeks at Michigan, they were all 3 in the top 10. First time they had done that since 2016. So they are starting to find the sweet spot when it comes to speed here as we head down the stretch of the regular season.
Yeah, it's time to recognize that for sure. They've struggled this year trying to match some of the performance from years ago. And I've been really impressed with this 60 car. You know, you bring in a new car, new team, new people. It's a 3rd car. No other way to look at it. And they're going to be probably, you know, getting some of the 3rd best parts and pieces at times, if not all the time. And they have found a way to make that car competitive. Done a really, really good job with Ryan Preece this year.
Austin Dillon, Ross Chastain exchanging positions here. They're inside the top 15. Nice effort there. Dillon up to 14th as he makes the pass.
He's one of those drivers that flipped stage 2 for some track position.
And I'm telling you guys, if you're one of these pit crew members, this is the moment you're living for, right? You know, you see it, pit window is open. This is the leading edge of it. I don't know if this is a comfortable spot. Well, there you go, pit window open. Cindric says, now's the time, here I go. I'm gonna get fresh tires right away. He's gonna pit from the 7th position. Let's see how he does and how much fuel they take. That's what's important. They have to be full to get to the finish, Kim.
We talk about being the first to pit last. That's what Brian Wilson wanted. You see that second can going in. Austin said decent here, just a little on the free side, and trying to plug it in as long as possible there on the 2, Marty.
Again, remember Josh Berry was one of those who pitted a little bit earlier when there was a caution, so he knew they had to come before the other cars. But you got to wonder if this is going to bring a lot of other cars down pit road. 48 also on pit road. And Steve, does this open the window for everybody?
I think you have no choice. As soon as you think you can make it, you have to come. You cannot allow the guys to get new tires. There you go, leader, Briscoe, hard left-hand turn on pit road. Buescher, Hamlin will have to counter next time by. Fresh tires are enough of an advantage. The field's so close, I don't think you can give them an advantage by running long, Trevor.
Yes, sir. This is a final stop for the 19, hitting pit road for that money stop. They wanted to be one of the first to get there. Going to see 4 tires and fuel go on this 19 car. 5 car of Kyle Larson was saving fuel during that run, just trying to manage how much he was burning to make this stop a little bit shorter. Another tool in the toolbox for these drivers to use.
Bottom right, Ryan Preece waiting on fuel. You see that long wait there. You need a little more center turn.
Scheduled green flag pit stops, final stage at Pocono.
I'm going to tell you, unbelievably fast stop for that 19 car. I'm I'm going to say I hope they have enough gas in it. I thought they would have to wait longer. Only 11 seconds on pit road. Now here comes the 24, the 77, Trevor.
24 car just took 2 right sides right there. A short stop for him. Remember, he came down pit road in that last caution.
Chris Buescher now leads the race. Obviously, he's going to have to come down pit road. Denny Hamlin making his stop now, Marty.
That comes with 40 to go. Adam coming down pit road. He said he was really tight in turn 1 for Denny Hamlin. You ride on board with the Logitech onboard camera. Chase Elliott also coming to pit road. He said he lost his front turn at the very end of the run for Chase Elliott, who's been very strong here at Pocono this afternoon. Question is, can they make up time that they were behind the other cars in front of them here on pit road, Kim?
And the one of Ross Chastain waiting on fuel. Tight middle in 1 and 3. Drive off needs a little bit. They're going to wait as long as possible, and they get all clear from his crew chief, Marty.
Tim, for a while, Joey Logano was in the top 10 today. Paul Wolfe made a strategy play, but then they kind of struggled outside the top 10 on this past run for Logano. We'll see where this cycles him out. Chris Buescher coming down pit road. He said that last run was a bit frustrating because he could catch the 19 of Chase Briscoe everywhere, but couldn't pay off the pass in turn 2. He has had no complaints about the handling of the 17 car. Now we'll watch to see what Scott Graves does here to make a call in terms of fuel for Chris Buescher, and can he gain that little bit of track position? He was behind the 19, 4 tires for the 17.
Bottom of the screen, on board with Briscoe. I showed you that quick 11-second pit stop. He's at start finish. 17 leading. This won't be close. The 19 will easily clear him on the racetrack and drive off. He will become the leader, but I will tell you, that pit stop for the 19 was shockingly fast at 11 seconds. If this is full, great job of the pit stop. If he didn't need the fuel, then great job by Briscoe, who maybe was saving fuel. This is going to play out in front of us, 38 to go. We still have a few to pit. But Buescher, we saw him wait on fuel, and look at who cycled in front of Buescher, the 11 of Hamlin. So these cars are all assuming they can make it to the finish on fuel. Long run here at Pocono.
And that's the advantage for Denny Hamlin, who was suffering from a little bit of a push in that car before this cycle. He's now in front of the 17. If this comes down to a race between the two, Denny Hamlin's had the adjustment to fix the balance of the car, and now has the track position to take this thing to the finish.
Top 12 yet to make a pit stop here in this final cycle.
So when I was talking about when we look at pit stop times, we're going to assume they needed the same amount of fuel, but just look at this. Briscoe 11.0, Buescher 14.4. Now look, that's not a mistake for Buescher. That's not like slow tires. That's how much fuel they had to put on. I talk about the fuel tax. This started at lap 0. These guys started counting every quart, every ounce, every gallon all day long. Is this the day the 9 team has out-executed everyone out? That 11 seconds shocked me. What an impressive job, Trevor.
Yeah, you talk about the fuel tax, Steve, but how about the tire tax? The 6 car of Brad Keselowski talked with Jeremy Bullins and said, I want the tire advantage. We have more fuel right now, but that time of a shorter pit stop isn't as much as I think we can get if we go long and have better tires for the rest of the run. What do you think, Steve?
I think that's their option, right? They made a mistake, Trevor. They came on pit road closed. They just can't raise heads up. They have to do something. They worked on having more fuel on it, and he's out there running 53 6s. I mean, this 6 car has clear track in front, so when you have it, use it, right? Like, this is the absolute goal for the 6, because I think it's their only is the wrong word, but is their best option to win. Remember, a win is the only chance Brad Keselowski makes the playoffs, Marty.
Last year at Pocono, Jonathan Hassler had the winning strategy for Ryan Blaney. He's pitting here with 36 to go. We'll see if this call to run long plays to their benefit as well. We've mentioned Blaney coming through the field twice today. He has done it without the benefit of a cool shirt, Kim. It hasn't worked all day long.
John Hunter Nemechek, bottom of your screen, coming off that great finish with Mexico City, right side only. Looks like we have a caution, though.
In the midst of these stops, we get a caution. 7th of the day. Brad Keselowski scored as the race leader. They had not yet made their pit stop in the green flag cycle.
So now we're just going to have to see so many cars have pitted that we'll see where the 6 cycles back. I think what they would have rather done was pit under green, then the yellow come out, because then he could have kind of cycled out and had fresh tires. Unfortunately for the 6, this yellow, you see the disappointment. The yellow's too early. They needed to make their pit stop first. Let's listen into the 6.
I'm sorry. Every time, man. It's just getting clean air.
All right, so let's just review. What they wanted to do is run 5, 6, 7 more laps, come down pit road, then get a caution. Then you have brand new tires. Like I said, you have to gamble anyway, and when you have a mistake by coming down pit road closed, your gamble has to get bigger. You heard the frustration Brad knows from behind the wheel. He knows exactly how this is going to work out.
What about those guys that were just on pit road? I mean, they're making their stops, caution comes out.
Yeah, we're going to have to see where this all cycles, because you're absolutely right. With the guys on pit road, the blend might be very different. Let's see what happens in the 88.
Just gets loose right there. Out of turn 1, I believe.
Yep, Shane Van Gisbergen, last week's winner, locked into the playoffs, getting the victory at Mexico City, but it gets away from him here. Caution with 35 to go.
So I think, yeah, the question, I guess, is where does Blaney cycle out in all of this? He was on pit road. Looks like he's going to end up coming across finish line in 4th place behind, well, once everybody else comes to pit road, he's behind Briscoe, Hamlin, and Buescher. So kind of a bit of an advantage for the 12, I suppose, to catch that caution when he did.
I mean, looking at our scoring monitor, there are 6 drivers that have not yet made a pit stop. And then 7th, Chase Briscoe, who was leading when the cycle began. He's maintained that position, or he will have done so once everything cycles through and these guys get their pit stop. Hamlin, we talked about jumping in front of Buescher, and then you mentioned Ryan Blaney, who came at lap 124 and was on pit road when the caution came out.
That's why it's important for these guys like Briscoe and, Buescher and Hamlin and Briscoe for, when the caution comes out, stay in the gas, run hard, because that would have allowed Blaney, I think, to cycle in front of them if they'd have let off the gas and slowed down and allowed the pace car to kind of pick up the field.
Racing at Pocono today, 34 to go. Doing a little drafting next weekend, Friday night, Truck Series. Racing a practice, rather, for the trucks in Friday evening, and then Friday afternoon, I should say, qualifying for Xfinity cars Friday, then Friday night. You got the Xfinity race on CW, qualifying for Cup teams Friday, Saturday night race for Cup cars as we head over to TNT. Truck Series racing Saturday afternoon at Lime Rock on FS1.
I tell you what, the guys and the girls, the men and the women down in the race, down in the trucks, they're finding replays, they're digging through radios. We'll check this out, listen into the 19.
Caution, 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 caution. Safe fuel, safe fuel, safe fuel, safe fuel. We are on fuel here, Chase, because we were not ready to leave, so we're just going to have to see how this goes and see if we can make it. Everything you can do to save here, though.
All right, so there you have it. They are not good on fuel. So we talked about the time. Well, let's show you what it looks like. 19 on the left, 11 comes in. Remember, we showed the pit stop times. This isn't old school. This isn't slow pit stops. It's all about the 2 guys with the dump cans. Both right sides look good. They come to the left. Now watch the difference. The 19 is going to drop to Jack, and he goes 11. Wait. The fueler shakes his head. 2.5, 3 seconds worth of fuel. That's the whole situation. Execution, communication, frustration. You see the body language. So I don't know if it was miscommunicated, if Chase didn't understand what the signal was supposed to be for Chase. Obviously, though, they are not good on fuel. 2.5 seconds should be like 3 gallons. That's like 6 laps. I mean, you see the difference, right? I mean, 11.0 to a 13.3. And that's the whole difference. James Small and Chase Briscoe have had so much speed. He told Carl and Corey on the stage, we just have to execute. And then here we are. Now, look, they may get lucky enough to have enough yellows to connect. Maybe they'll get lucky enough, but it just doesn't look great. Unfortunately for Brad now, he has to come get his fuel, and you see all the cars staying on the racetrack.
Here's Kim.
And Kyle Busch coming in from this stop, saying on the radio, this caution hurt us. They were hoping to play it a little bit differently. Kyle reporting tight all the way through turn 1, slight adjustment. So they'll take tires and put some fuel in. Trevor.
Yeah, 6 car, Jeremy Bolin saying, we're just going to have to eat it here. They debated staying out. They could have gone to a lap 138, but they felt like the risk was too great here to try to catch a caution.
We got a yes, sir, and we got a they're just going to have to eat it. The phrasing for Trevor Bayne, it never disappoints. We return to the green flag in a moment on Prime. 32 laps to go. It's the NASCAR Cup Series at Pocono, presented by Dish. Here's Trevor.
Brad Keselowski and Jeremy Bullins had a debate about the strategy to take there. Ultimately, Brad Keselowski wanted to stay out a little bit longer. Take a listen to the radio here.
Pit this time, Brad. Pit this time. Pit this time. Copy this time. Flip your pace. No pressure here. Tear off, please. You sure? I can go longer, Jeremy. Losing a lot of time to the guys that have pitted. Maybe give me one more.
One more lap, Brad asked for. That was one too many. Junior, you're a crew chief now, you know, so do you ever regret going against Steve on any calls?
I never went against Steve's calls. Never. This guy was the best crew chief on the pit box, best strategist I knew. I certainly wasn't going to have any better ideas than he did, but yeah, that's a tough one. Sometimes you feel like you think you've got a better idea or you know better, and it's, you know, Brad also being an owner is in a position of a little more authority to be able to help, you know, make those kind of calls. He's got a lot of experience, years in this sport. Sometimes those things pay off and you look like a hero.
Here's Chase Briscoe, 19 radio.
So right now, nothing changes. Just focus on restart, getting the lead, and what will be is what will be. Yeah, sorry about that. I had it revved up so loud. As soon as I heard anything, I just went.
All right, so what James Small is saying there, we've run 6. This will make 7 yellow flag laps, so that saved him some. We know they're short. We don't know how much. But James is smart enough to say, hey, don't give up the lead. Don't start saving now. We can run 5 laps and get another 5 or 10 laps. You know, he could get enough yellows to do it. It happened for Blaney a year ago. So I think that was really good just to be very clear on what the goal is here. Now, Dale, it's all about this restart.
I'm going to reach a little bit here, but the 12, right? We talked about the caution coming out at a certain opportune time while the 12 was leaving pit road. Well, when they went back and looked at the timing lines, he actually did beat the 17 to the last timing line before the caution, so he is third to choose. Now he gets to put himself in this outside line, which I believe is the preferred line behind the control car of the 19. If they produce a successful restart, he could go off into turn 1 on the outside of the 11 and fighting for second place off of turn 1.
I mean, every position is huge. And I go back to the Briscoe deal. Who knows how this is going to shake out? However, they've scored 17 stage points today. I mean, you hope they maybe get the yellows they need next save, and whatever the case may be. But they have already put themselves in position for a good points day, and that might magnify how you manage the latter part of this race, knowing you got some points in the bank.
And I know all that fuel is a lot to try to figure out, but I'm going to tell you, grab some popcorn and a cold beverage, because this is going to be unreal right here on this restart.
That's what it's all about. It'll be 30 laps to go. Teammates out front, Briscoe and Hamlin. Blaney, Busher up there. Talk about Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson finding their way to the front at the end. Cindric, Nemechek. Fun run to the finish at Pocono.
Ready, green.
All right, the 12's in the back of the 19. They got help from Chase Elliott as well and out outside line. The inside does not connect, and look at the ground they lose. Oh, the 19,
to the lead.
The 19 pulls down in front of his teammate. That it makes the 11 have to lift. The 12, with a chance to clear, is not going to do it. Denny's going to side draft really aggressively. 3 wide behind Adam.
Last 2 winners here, racing for second right now. Blaney outside of Hamlin. Chase Elliott gets up to 4th. Kyle Larson in the picture.
This was a tough restart for that 17. Started on the inside in 3rd. Now he's back here around 6th, battling for his life.
And how about Priest running 8th in the outside lane, giving a shove to his teammate. Fastest lap of the day, Denny Hamlin. Having a great afternoon when you look at points. Second right now behind Briscoe is Hamlin as they jockey for position into 1.
Hocevar. Yeah, on the inside of Christopher Bell. Christopher has some pretty good splitter damage on the front of that car. Surprised to see him up here in the mix. Of course, he's in dirty air where he didn't really need the splitter, but doing a good job hustling that car. And here's Busher now trying to gain those spots back that he lost starting in 3rd on the inside there. Maybe the best car in the field. It's back in 5th place. Logano to the inside of Christopher Bell. Still 3 wide. Hocevar a little loose up there at the top, really loose at the top, way up the racetrack, losing tons of spots.
I liked where he was, but that wiggle going to cost him 4 or 5 positions, as you said, going in the wrong direction, the 77.
So Briscoe out front, not got enough fuel to make it, right? If we don't get any yellows, I think if you're Denny Hamlin, you're getting told, hey man, don't worry about him. He can't make it. If you pass him, pass him. If you can't, don't worry about it. Sit right here, protect your position, don't let anybody get near you. Blaney, Chase Elliott, they're going to start trying to put the pressure on Denny Hamlin. They know that that's for the race win if we do not get a yellow.
The only thing I would say is don't let up so much that Briscoe can save gas back to your bumper and then all of a sudden can make it. Like, I need you to run him out of gas. I need you to push him hard enough, you know, because I'm looking at his data too. If I start to see this 19 run par throttle, like, no, new plan, you got to go. You got to push him into proving that they're short on gas. And you know, Hamlin's thinking, I don't care about all that. I just want to pass him. I want to get the lead and control this race because I don't know about the next restart. And, you know, and I want to be in control if that next restart does happen.
Larson to the inside of Priest. Down into turn 1, is going to take that spot away. The 5 car working his way up into the top 10.
Just want to point out that car in 6th position right there at the just left our screen. John Hunter didn't even checking this 42. We talked to Travis Mack at the beginning about strategy. He said he was going to have to make some decisions between points and strategy. Well, they've called a very efficient race. We haven't said their name a lot, but here he is inside the pay window, 27 to go, enough fuel on board, running 6. Legacy Motor Club continues their ascent and improvement within the Cup Series, Kim.
Yeah, you said enough fuel on board. I do want to make note that Travis Mack came on the radio before he went green and said, we are right on our number fuel-wise, and so they're not going to have a lot of wiggle room if we see a green and white checker, Trevor.
Yeah, Kim, Steve, you've mentioned it a few times this week about the 60-gallon mark. Chase Briscoe right now has been in his pit stall for 30.8 seconds accumulatively. You look at Ryan Blaney last year, it was 31.1 seconds, so 0.3 of a second different than our winner last year.
So basically what Trevor's talking is if you start with 20 gallons, you need to put 60 gallons in your car over the course of the race to run the distance. That's how the math works, minus a few yellow flags. So if it took 31 and change last year, it's not going to take less. We've had less yellows in this final run. We need to be in there longer, so the 19, the math is just confirming what we've heard on the radio.
Let's watch this 19 and the telemetry on board. I believe Denny was really close to being able to try to make a position or a pass or an attempt at a pass in turn 1. Is the 19 doing as you say, Steve? Is he doing things with the throttle? Look, lifting early, going to 3/4 throttle right there. He's looking in the mirror, seeing that he can do that. And Denny's not close enough to really try to do anything, so he's going to lift a little early before the end of the straightaway. Here he is again, full throttle, headed toward the tunnel turn. So he's saving a little fuel by trying to lift a little bit early at the end of these straightaways, all while watching where Denny's at and trying not to allow that 11 car to get by.
Well, let's check it out. Chase Briscoe getting nearly 5 miles a gallon. Denny Hamlin 4.6, meaning for every gallon of gas, Chase Briscoe's going about another 1/3 of a mile, another 1/4 of a mile. That over the entire fuel run may be a difference. So to your point, that's not by luck, and that's not by tune-up. That is Chase Briscoe saving gas versus Denny Hamlin. Fuel mileage continues to play a role here at Pocono.
Right here at the end of the straightaway. He's probably lifting a little bit there, and that jumps up to 5.2.
Look at that, last lap, big saving, big chunk of saving right there.
Right,
and it allows...
No brake into 1 or left brake, just drive in deeper. That partial lift is not doing it for us.
So what he said, partial lifting isn't saving enough. I need you to lift completely off and just try to use less brake. Coast in there with more speed, all while stacking these guys up behind him. Remember that dirty air animation you showed us earlier? He's using that perfectly. He lets the 11 get there, then he shuts that air off.
That's allowing the 12 of Blaney and eventually Chase Elliott to get to the back bumper of Hamlin. So Hamlin then has to start looking at being defensive. Where does he need to run to keep the 12 car at bay?
What's up, Marty?
Adam Spotter, Chris Lambert for Denny Hamlin's basically giving a play-by-play of Chase Briscoe's radio. They have told him the 19 fuel situation is no better. And Steve, I want to go back to what Chris Gale told Denny Hamlin right before this last restart. He said, listen, one more caution for the 19 and they can make it to the end of the race. So play it very aggressively.
I love that. I love it. Oh, look at the glare. Hand up off the steering wheel for Denny Hamlin, trying to block the sun as he goes down into the tunnel. I love the cat and mouse at the end of these. Let's just ride on board with Hamlin right here. See if he can make any sort of gain. What Briscoe's trying to do with saving gas and hold off a 7-time Pocono winner for 22 more laps.
You just think about everything that's on the line here. These drivers inside the top 5, take it back through the top 10.
Watching this 19, I would say, look, you'd be even more aggressive here. At least that corner. In allowing, lifting much sooner, completely out of the gas. I think Denny can get within a couple car lengths even in the middle of the corner, and you'll be able to defend.
Look how he has them all stacked up. Right? I mean, that's just because he's kind of a little off the pace, just stacking up the leaders.
It'll be 21 laps to go. That's an eternity here at Pocono.
Denny at the top of the racetrack. Now that 12 car, Blaney's getting close. It's got to be a little bit concerning for Denny, and we heard about Denny's balance issues later in the run previous. Have they got those fixed? Does he have the turn in this car that he needs? Jake, the 12 car's right there. A little traffic coming out on the racetrack might cause him not to be able to use this lower line or do anything about the proximity to the 11. Marty.
Junior, kind of walk me through what Ryan Blaney is going through right now. This is the first time he's had this much clean air all day long. Remember, he's come through the field twice, and he just told Tim Fedewa a moment ago, we're better in turn 1 than we've been all day long. The tunnel turn 2, with Ryan Blaney will tell you, that's the corner they kind of give up here at Pocono. That's where they're struggling the most.
Yeah, this is the most important corner down here. Marty, turn 3, opens up onto this long straightaway. So if you can get through that corner really good and get to the throttle sooner than everyone else, you run down this straightaway carrying so much speed and close the gap to put yourself in a position to battle. And man, I'm not sure Denny Hamlin has the car that he would love to have right here. Just seems like he's not able to pressure the 19 at this moment. The 12's actually able to get to the back bumper of the 11 a little bit more. I'm a little surprised by that. Denny now with the fastest lap of the race, though.
45 out there. I don't know if it's helping the 19 handling, but it might help the fuel mileage a little bit. He's kind of a little further out than I thought. I'm not sure if he's getting a whole lot of tow.
How about the 9, Marty?
Time for the Chevrolet team update, and Chase Elliott sitting in the 4th position. Adam, he had been so impressive in the second half of this race, and they lose a little bit of turn later in this run, but they kind of felt like this length of run would fit the bill for the 9 team. But right now, coming off that 3rd in Mexico City, as Steve mentioned, one of the most impressive cars coming up through the field late in that race. Right now looking at back-to-back top 5s.
And I said it earlier, but an incredible finish last year for that race team. Unbelievable rally to finish it after they had a speeding penalty. This team just knocking on the door, chipping away as they think about their first win of 2025. In fact, when you look at the top 5 drivers, only one does not have a victory under their belt here at Pocono, and it's the man leading this race, Chase Briscoe, first year at Joe Gibbs Racing.
Tell you what, Briscoe is doing an amazing job. Dale, you talked about rolling out the throttle early, lifting and not using any brake. Let's look at his system right here. I was looking at the miles per gallon. He's up to almost 5.4 miles per gallon versus like a 4.7, 4.8. There you go, 5.3 right now. Just lifting, coasting off into the corner. That's the best mileage of anyone by a very big chunk. Marty. Oh, sorry about that, Trevor.
Hey, it's okay. You can call me anything you want to, Steve. But yeah, Chase Briscoe here, as he has started to save, he's going faster. I know that's frustrating for a driver. You feel like you're backing up the corners and they're calling out lap times that just don't make sense. But sometimes that's how it goes, right, Dell?
Absolutely. That's why I was thinking, he's able to lift a little sooner, roll speed down in the corner, roll through the center of the corner quicker, back to the gas, way more comfortable. He could get even more aggressive on the saving.
Denny's lifting earlier. You're doing great before.
Lifting earlier, lifting earlier. You see, Denny's not really pressuring him. This is a really nice lead he's got right here. So
that is the miles per gallon. I'm sorry, Dale. That was the miles per gallon I was circling there.
He can get after it a little bit more, lift even sooner. I just feel like he's going to have to take advantage of every single lap to be able to gain what he needs to make it to the end.
Yeah, I mean, look right there. That's a mile further on every gallon, right? So just do the math. Say he was 3 laps short. That's 6 miles. So, I mean, that's a lot, but with that big a savings, you might be able to get there. Now, I'm assuming he's 3 short reading the radio. You know, it's like a poker hand being played right now. I'm not sure exactly we know what all their cards are.
Well, I go back to Michigan when Hamlin was saving and we thought it was really tight. And then he's doing burnouts and all that. Yeah. So, you know, the science is way better, but you truly never know till you cross that finish line in this situation.
Well, he's got 16 laps to go. And that's not, you know, that's not a long ways to go. Yes, getting close to the end of this race, that's also not a lot of laps to be able to save additional fuel. Has he done enough on the front end of the run? You know, he might have been a little nervous to do too much and allow that 11 to get by, because then the race is lost. But has he saved enough on the front end of the run here?
Has he saved enough? And back to what you've said multiple times, does Denny Hamlin have the car to push him? Right, you see like how Chase dumps the throttle, right? He's doing everything he needs to do. The 11's just not being able to mount a charge. Let's listen into the 19 with an update.
Doing what you're doing, don't make any changes unless we tell you.
If we maintain this, we can get there. If we maintain what you're doing right now, we will make it. Just be disciplined.
Negative, flip to a positive. A glimmer of hope. That light at the end of the tunnel is no longer a train. Now it's victory lane. If you could just somehow maintain this. Now I want you to hold off Denny Hamlin while saving gas. Just such an impressive job by Chase Briscoe. This is why Joe Gibbs hired him, right? Because he does it all, man. He's fast.
Really good.
He sits on poles. He said to our pre-race they have to execute. They tripped up with the fueling. Can they make it up by executing on the racetrack?
A couple other things he can do. As you see right there through the tunnel turn, left it in 5th gear.
Oh,
Denny downshift to 4th. I was watching the telemetry. The Chase Briscoe shifting sooner into 5th gear, keeping the RPMs down, just another notch in that belt for saving fuel.
Yeah, what burns gas? Throttle position and engine RPM. Those two combinations, you know, but that's basically, that's what calculates miles per gallon. So stay in that 5th gear, keeps that RPM lower.
You know, we're almost a year ago to the day when Chase Briscoe was announced to drive the 19. And you think about everything that he went through because of everything going away at Stewart-Haas. Went on to win in the fall at Darlington. Such an emotional time for him to walk it off there. And he's had some really good moments early this season, but just couldn't find his way to the finish line when they had the car to beat. Started on the pole 4 different occasions, but here he is in position today. And when you look behind him, the 4 drivers in the top 5 have combined for 11 wins at Pocono. I mean, he's saving fuel and trying to hold off the best. This is incredible as we come to 13 to go.
And that radio you heard, the 11 heard as well. Right, so now Denny Hamlin's been told, Blaney's been told, Ellie's been told, look, they are saying they think they can make it. That's still to be determined over 20, you know, over 30 odd miles, right? So this is basically, can Denny find enough grip in this race car to mount a charge?
The 19's driving away. You know, you got to imagine at some point they can give him the go-ahead to start even being more aggressive on saving,
sure.
Right?
Yeah, yeah.
They've told him to not change a thing, leave it as is. What does Denny have left in the tank? You'd imagine that he's not sitting back there waiting to make this pass or this charge late in the race, that he would have done that already. Is there anything left for him to be able to push?
Talked about Denny off the top. Got his 3rd win of the year 2 weeks ago at Michigan. Stayed at home last week. Missed the race in Mexico City for the birth of his son. Congratulations to his fiancee Jordan. Jamison arrived last week. Denny came back, and boy, did he send a message to everybody. Winning the pole here yesterday, wins the opening stage today, and right now riding 2nd behind his teammate, looking for his 8th win at Pocono. He's already the best all time here with 7.
Look at the stress on top of the pit box.
That's make sure you give me a little more into one. Just focus on your marks into there.
So that's the engineer, judging by my experience yesterday. That's the guy that's actually the one telling the crew chief, here's your fuel mileage. Here's what I think we can do. Here's how hard I think we can run. Here's how much we need to save. And he's got to be right? The pressure is on the crew chief, but all the individuals on top of that pit box have such a critical role.
Well, let's just remember Denny's last win, you just pointed out, was at Michigan. Byron led that until he ran out of gas. Dale, you and I were shocked at how many cars made it. Like, obviously, the information that these teams are getting is just so fine compared to what we used to have for some very coarse guessing years ago. So we will see if that same thing, pretty relaxed on the 11 box right now. I guess they feel like their work is done at this point. Can he pass him is the question, Trevor.
Yeah, James Small asking Chase to back up turn one a little bit more, but another thing you guys mentioned was the shifting for Chase. Now through the tunnel turn, he's leaving it in 5th gear and not giving up any time, skipping that downshift.
Yeah, that's a great way to save a little additional fuel, and he's shifting a little earlier into 5th gear off of turn 1, maybe down here on the front straightaway as well.
10 laps to go.
And it just seems like he could continue to be even more aggressive to make sure we're saving that fuel.
I saw 0 brake glow, right? I saw him out of the throttle. I didn't see that brake glow at all into turn 1.
We will not use the fuel switch until you need it or until we take the wash.
Talk about that fuel switch, Steve.
So the fuel cells have a couple different pickups in there. A lot of guys run on one because they feel you get a little bit of a stumble. You flip to the second, and it gets you back to pit road. And basically what James is saying is, you know, we're not going to go to 2, running both pumps, until we see the white. Once we see the white, we're not pitting anyway. If we run out, we run out. So go ahead and flip the switch, running both pumps. It's a little, I ask in the garage, some think there's a warning, some don't. It's a little bit of a mixed review.
They're saving fuel and running the second fastest lap of anyone.
They'll not really get to you. You see if you can lift a little more.
There we go.
1 and 3.
That's right. Back him up. Get more aggressive.
Miles per gallon in, basically the pylon to the left. Almost a mile further for every gallon for Briscoe. Think about when you buy a car, right? Hey, this thing gets 19 miles per gallon in the city, 31 on the highway because you're not on the brakes and all. That's what you're doing, right? They're asking Briscoe to not drive like you're in the city. I want you to drive like you're on the highway. I want you to roll out. Don't stop at every red light. Don't use the brakes. Keep this car rolling. That's really the concept, right? You see it advertised, the difference. He's just trying to make a track with 3 corners act like it has no corners, right? No brakes. Don't slow the car down any more than is necessary.
So far, so good. 8 laps to go. Briscoe in front of Hamlin and Blaney. Here's 11 radio, Denny Hamlin's team.
How do you feel about his fuel mileage? He's probably half a lap short at best. They think if they continue doing this, they'll be close to make it.
All right, so the 19 story is we think we can make it. The 11 looking at the same data saying, nah, I don't buy that. I think they're half a lap short. This chess match, this is a poker hand for sure. You have the 19. They know the 11 can hear it. They know they can look on the radio. Denny, I'm with you. I don't think he's back there by choice. I guess he's asking because now it looks like he's mounting a charge. We'll see if he is saving, maybe just saving some tired Dales. This is so awesome.
It is. I'm entertained. Going to be interesting to see. I am too. I'm nervous for Briscoe. Everybody knows how badly he wants to succeed at this opportunity. Of all the drivers that came out of Stewart-Haas Racing, he was presented with a golden ticket to get into this winning race car, this championship race car. Now Denny trying to put the pressure on, trying to make that 19 have to use a little more throttle, burn a little more fuel, try to run this 19 out of gas.
Has the wily veteran been sitting in wait? 701 starts. Has Denny really been just saving his front tires, knowing he need to mount a charge? If so, runs the high lane around the bumps through the tunnel.
I think he overdrove it, missed it a little bit there, buddy. I don't know.
You don't think that was by choice?
Yeah, lost a little bit of ground there, but dives it down into turn 3. The 19 gains a little bit on corner exit there. Marty.
Junior, here's the other thing in all this fuel conversation. Denny Hamlin's car seems to be getting better. They just told him a moment ago. Chris Gale said, listen, your lap times are improving. You can still go catch them, Trevor.
Well, his lap times might be improving, but for Chase Briscoe, his team's just backing him up to Denny. You guys mentioned, is Denny going faster? I think Chase was just saving more there. You can visibly see on the data, he's backing those corners up more and more, knowing that Denny Hamlin has been fighting a tight race car anytime he gets close to someone else.
Yeah, that's great information. As soon as Denny got within a couple car lengths, he misses the tunnel. He struggles in turn 3, and now the 12 is to the back bumper of the 11. The 12 now struggling in that dirty air as well, not able to really close the gap and challenge.
Let's remember, Chase Briscoe in this 19 team pitted under green when the 71 had a flat right front tire middle of the race. They gambled that a yellow would come out. The yellow did come out. That was it. That was the lotto ticket that cycled them to the front. Then a green flag pit stop with a little miscommunication kept the lead. They were short on gas, and now they're trying to connect it. This has just been not smooth, but a lot of gambling, a lot of calculating on top of the pit box. All right, we got some busy right hands out of Briscoe right there. I saw fourth gear, maybe a brake adjustment. A lot of work going on in the cockpit.
You know, you think about this track, I mean, it's not been good for Briscoe at the Cup level, but he did win an Xfinity race here in 2020, so he knows his way to victory lane.
And I know the heartbreaker running out of gas. Dale and I have felt it before, and you just, I mean, what do you want to do, run second and make it? I mean, for the 19, they want to win a race.
Yeah, not only would it be heartbreaking for the team, but the driver pulling out of the pit stall early, making that simple mistake, he will feel the responsibility to the rest of the team. That's a tough one for Chase Briscoe. He's a great dude, really fun racer, good asset to the sport.
I'd love to tell you can make it. I know how much he's burning. I just don't know how much he has on board. That's really the question. That's the crux of this equation.
You know,
doing really good here, man. Just continue to stay disciplined on what you're doing. Make him go find something else. Rhythm, rhythm, rhythm.
That's a 19 radio telling their driver, make the 11, go find something else. Make him search around to find that clean air. You run the line you need to run. I like this, running the higher line allows you to keep the momentum. I know it's further around the racetrack, but the momentum you carry off the corner allows you to go down this straightaway quicker, keeps Denny from gaining the ground, allows you to lift sooner, do the things you need to do to save the fuel. If you're up,
laps to go.
If you're up lower on the racetrack, down here, you kind of bind the car up. You have to use more throttle to drive up out of the hill. Denny's starting to put a little bit more pressure back on as the 19 continues to save. 19 lifting right here, Denny closing the gap. And Chase is getting pretty aggressive on the fuel saving, but he knows he needs to. Just a few more laps to go, a few more miles. What's left in the tank?
Nursing it off of turn 3 and back to the start-finish line. It'll be 2 remaining for Chase Briscoe. And you start thinking about the playoff implications here. You know, if Briscoe wins, it would be the 6th driver in the last 8 races to get his first win of the year, and it would be an 11th driver that had won this year to lock himself into the playoffs with 9 to go after today.
Watch that telemetry. If there's any fuel issues on the 19, we'll see it in the RPM. If the RPM drops, that means it's either not picking up the fuel or it's running out of gas. A lap and a half to go.
Anxious times in the 19 camp. Played the game so well today. Now you just got to get it across the finish line. And every time around just increases the level of heartbreak if you can't finish the deal. Here he is off of turn 3. You'll see the white flag. This time by 1 lap to go, sponsored by Credit One Bank.
Sounding good so far.
Let me get a little.
Up to full solve.
Through turn 1 and onto the straightaway, leading to the tunnel turn.
Still not stumbling. Good early shift. Keep the RPMs low. Just a little bit early there.
Across the tunnel turn, the short chute, over to turn 3.
Motor still sounding good to me. Off into turn 3. He just needs one more good throttle off of turn 3 here and should be good to go.
What a day for the 19. Good to the last drop. Chase Briscoe saves and wins in Pocono.
Awesome job, guys. Thank you so much.
First win of the year, first since going over to Joe Gibbs Racing. And in his first campaign driving for the coach, he'll head to the playoffs. Led 72 laps, got a stage victory. Incredible day for Chase Briscoe. Three drivers from Joe.
Proud of you. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. That's awesome. Good to hear the crew chief and the driver once they cross the finish line. A lot of relief, but some great instruction throughout that whole run on what he needed to do to be able to save as much fuel as necessary. And I bet nobody's more relieved than the driver because he was the one who pulled out of the stall early and put him in this position. So he had to go out there and find that fuel. They were able to do it. It's an incredible day for Chase. Not only winning the race, scoring more points than anybody.
Driver from Mitchell, Indiana. Perhaps some foreshadowing. It's Indiana Pacers in Game 7 tonight. NBA Finals taking on OKC. Third driver for Joe Gibbs Racing to win this year. And the 7th to get it done at Pocono. Coach has now won here 18 times.
He is putting the front brake into this thing so he can do a burnout down this front straightaway, I imagine.
Say he saved enough.
That was a battle of Sunoco and Goodyear right there.
Yeah, no doubt.
Sunoco held on longer.
It's a big deal, too, for Bass Pro Shops. Johnny Morris, been with Martin Truex Jr. for years with this race team. Now with Chase Briscoe and starting to write a new chapter for this partnership.
Kind of did it the old-fashioned way. Dirt racer from Indiana, third-generation guy. Great family support, and today they can all celebrate in Pocono, Marty.
Adam, as Steve mentioned, he told our pre-race folks, we have to execute. It was a driver mistake that put him in a bad spot, but it was maybe the most impressive stint of his entire career that put him back in a good spot. What was going through your mind, saving fuel, trying to hold off your teammate, the 7-time winner here, Denny Hamlin, and what pressure was that behind the wheel?
Yeah, it was a lot. It was kind of weird. Like I wasn't driving hard, so it's not like I was on the ragged edge, but it was just so hard to, have a guy chasing you, right? Especially the guy that's probably the greatest of all time here, and to be trying to save fuel and everything else. So, yeah, just thank you to all you race fans. It's sold out every single time we come here, and it's unbelievable racing in front of a sold-out crowd. So, yeah, just an amazing day for our race team. That's really the first race we've kind of executed, truthfully, all year long. So, yeah, just to get Johnny Morris, Bass Pro Shops in victory lane, to get Toyota in victory lane, Joe Gibbs Racing, they took a big chance on me, right? Like I wasn't everybody's first choice, I think. But yeah, for me to be able to get here and now finally deliver a win is just an awesome feeling.
Was that maybe the single most disciplined stint you've ever driven in your career?
Yeah, anybody that's worked with me knows I'm normally overdriving and missing my marks all the time. So yeah, for sure, it's crazy when you slow down. My dad tells me all the time, if you slow down, you probably go faster, and it was true there. So yeah, just amazing day. I want to say hey to Marissa, Brooks, Cooper, Collins. Wish they were here to celebrate this, but yeah, just an amazing day. And once again, thank you to all you race fans.
How personally gratifying is it to add your name to the list of drivers who have won a Cup Series race for Joe Gibbs Racing?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, I literally grew up racing my sprint car video game in a Joe Gibbs Racing Home Depot uniform. So yeah, to be able to get coach in victory lane after, you know, like I said, them taking a chance on me is just, it's so rewarding, truthfully, and you know, just such a big weight off my shoulders. I've been telling my wife the last 2 weeks, like, I have to win, and finally to come here and do it, it's just been a great day.
As a sold-out crowd celebrates with you, you got about 20 crew guys ready to celebrate as well. Welcome to the playoffs, Chase Briscoe.
What a finish for Chase Briscoe, taking care of business. And when you look at the stat line, dominating, leading 72 laps today, getting the stage and holding off some of the best at Pocono there at the end. And we talk about the fact that he's going to go run for a championship. Updated standings, only 5 spots remain with 9 races to go in the regular season.
And I look back there at the cut line, Bubba Wallace, a tough day today with the brake issues, and now sitting just plus 29. Alex Bowman at plus 20. I mean, obviously we're going to focus on that with the 9 races remaining before the playoffs.
Atlanta's road courses so much ahead over the summer, a Daytona race as well. That vice is tightening for all those drivers not in blue.
I know we're going to head down to the post-race stage and visit with everybody for our big send-off, but what a great 5 weeks it's been. NASCAR on Prime, we jumped in together. This has been a lot of fun, some great racing and some laughs in the booth for sure.
Yeah, we've had a great time. Everybody in the entire crew down in the trucks making all this possible. It's been so much fun up here covering it, but the drivers and the teams, they've really delivered, right? From Mexico to Charlotte to here at Pocono, Michigan, and everything in between, we've had just amazing races.
Absolutely. Congratulations to all the drivers for all the great events that we've covered, but it's been as fun and more than I anticipated. Just a great job by the entire team, everybody in the TV compound. A lot of amazing people that work really hard to make this as good as it can be, and feel very proud. They should all be very proud of what we've been able to deliver the last 5 weeks.
No doubt. It's been an incredible ride. Danielle, we'll see you in a moment. For now, you're in charge. Big win for Chase Briscoe.
I was going to say, Adam, the party is not over. Y'all come on down here from the booth. We have an hour post-race show before Prime goes away for 2025. And going out on a high note, guys, that battle between Chase Briscoe and Denny Hamlin, Carl and Corey are going, he's going to run out. He's going to run out. Oh, my God, he didn't run out.
I was hopeful. I was a little bit more optimistic than Carl was. Carl, there's no way.
I was thought he was going to run. I was watching the throttle trace, but that burn bar, it was accurate. And to have Denny Hamlin breathing down your neck and to be able to have that discipline, I think Chase Briscoe said it right there. He actually got faster. Maybe his dad's right. Maybe he's too aggressive. But, man, what a Cinderella-type story. We started these 5 races with Ross Chastain at the Coke 600, and we ended with this, with Chase Briscoe. Feel-good story. Just hardcore racers going out and doing what racers do.
Man, we talk about guys with just, like, unicorn-type talent. Like, Chase Briscoe has a ton of natural ability. Dirt racer, sprint cars, third-generation guy.
Go-kart racing.
You saw that,
the
S&S Speedway. He put the move on you in the last lap. We saw it here today, but that was a new tool that we've seen in Chase Briscoe's toolbox of, like, let me reel the discipline back a little bit. Let me go save 7.5 miles worth of fuel in that stint. That's not a small number.
It's very difficult to do, and it's difficult to do anything like that when you have that much pressure. We've talked about it all 5 races. Pressure is mounting. You know, he said, I told my wife, I have to win. So to make that mistake on pit road and then recover with discipline and just following through with what his crew chief is telling him, that's hard to do, and he deserved this win.
How about Brad Keselowski? Coming up short there on the strategy end of things. That caution with 36 to go just bit BK.
So 2 things about Brad. When he made the first mistake coming down pit road, I was shocked at the level of maturity and leadership when he said, hey, it's fine. We're going to recover from this. And then they had that happen again where he stayed out. He advocated, I'm going to stay out another lap. The caution fell. But Letarts did such a good job in the booth describing, like, hey, you've got to take those chances. Brad was trying to win that race. He wanted the fresh tires. He took a chance, and he lost. That's why Brad Keselowski's a champion, because he's not afraid to take those swings.
Absolutely, and that's how tight the margins are, too. The difference of pitting one lap or the next, right? It worked out for Ryan Blaney. Pat pitted one lap before him. He run third. That could have been the tale of the sixth day. Well, it just didn't go his way.
Brad Keselowski has to settle for 9th. Chase Briscoe is now in the playoffs. First ever win for Joe Gibbs Racing. What a memorable moment this is for Coach, Bass Pro. You mentioned Johnny Morris. And Carl, your former car number, the 19 there at JGR.
It's so cool. It's so cool to see all of them take a moment and celebrate it just quietly. This win's huge.
Much more to come. An hour-long post-race show. Keep it right here on Amazon Prime.
The top of the mountain, climbed all the way up and never looked down. If the road was so rough, we might not have found the blood and some guts and thousands of hours. We welcome you now to our arena. If you don't know right now, it's hard to beat us. You can tell by our demeanor how hard we leaning. You will remember when you see it in lights. We are the champions. We are the champions. We will fight through the pain. We'll be legends tonight. We are the champions. We are the champions.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our fans for your support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.